Chapter 871. 7 was unhappy, very unhappy. She clearly didn't participate in the previous competitions. How could those old fellows let her participate in the current competition? She said that she didn't think of it at that time, but now she couldn't back out even if she wanted to. She had to participate in the competition. She's angry, very angry, and the consequences are very serious. She still didn't know who her opponent was, but no matter who it was, they were destined to become her punching bag. She would beat the other party up until they cried for their parents and felt extremely comfortable. Why was Yu able to watch from above while he was waiting to go on stage? It's not fair. Look at little 7, her face is puffed up like a bun. Fatty Chu pointed at her and said with a smile. Fatty Chu, little 7 has a belly full of fire. If you provoke her now, be careful that she will beat you up until you can't get out of bed for 3 days. Sima Yulu was beside Fatty Chu. Seeing little 7's expression, he gloated. Little 7 felt their gazes and looked over. Seeing Fatty Chu smiling, she glared at him fiercely. Fatty Chu originally didn't take his words to heart, but little 7's gaze made him shrink his neck involuntarily. That look says, if you mess with me, I'll punch you. He completely believed that if little 7 wanted to beat him up, being bedridden for 3 days would be a light punishment. Sima Yue and the rest couldn't help but laugh when they saw Fatty Chu's expression. As long as he met little 7, Fatty Chu would be terrified. However, little 7 is indeed very angry. I wonder who would be so unlucky to become her opponent. Sima Yue said with a smile. No matter who it is, I'm afraid that this outcome won't be easy. Sima Yuran said, unless the opponent concedes the moment they go up and doesn't give her a chance to act. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't even have the chance to speak later. Finally, it was little 7's turn. She flew onto the stage, crossed her arms and glared at her opponent. That oppressive aura made the referee feel pressured. He coughed lightly and said, this round little 7 is up. I admit defeat. The other party didn't wait for the referee to finish speaking and admitted defeat first. What did you say? Little 7 was furious. We haven't even started yet. How can he just admit defeat like this? The referee looked at that person and asked, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, he said. I admit defeat. It wasn't like he didn't know little 7. Who could compare to little 7's combat power? Moreover, she had evolved. He was even less of a match for her. Looking at the unrestrained hostility emanating from her body, it was obvious that she was very angry and wanted to find someone to vent her anger on. If he didn't admit defeat now, he wouldn't be able to do so when the fight really started. Don't admit defeat. Little 7 shouted. If you admit defeat, do you believe that I won't beat you up? In the end, he looked at Xiao Qi and said to the referee, I admit defeat. Hurry up and announce the verdict. When the referee saw this, he didn't try to persuade Xiao Qi any further. With Xiao Qi's current state, it was no wonder that the other party wanted to admit defeat. Third arena, little 7 wins. Hearing the referee's announcement, that person hurriedly jumped down and no longer looked at little 7. Too scary, he said, patting his chest repeatedly. Humph. Little 7 didn't beat him up. She angrily stomped her feet and went down unwillingly. Gotcha. A crisp cracking sound clearly entered everyone's ears. They looked towards the arena and saw that the intact stone of the arena, with little 7 as the center, had cracked in all directions. The arena was broken. But no one dared to say anything to little 7. They could only watch as she went down the arena. Cracked. Fatty Chu looked at the third arena and said in disbelief. He had previously set his goal to destroy the arena, but little 7 just stomped her feet and it was done. This was too much of a blow to him. Mao San Quan and Fan Lei on the VIP stand were heartbroken. That was a 9-star dark stone that only existed in the 9-star dark sea. There were only a few pieces in total. Now she had actually smashed it with one stomp. This little brat, why is her temper so big? Mao San Quan's heart was bleeding. And this was on the arena. According to her temper, this stomp would have been on us. Will this method work? Mao San Quan said uncertainly. We can't lose the wife and lose the soldiers. Whether it works or not, it's already like this. We can only see the results later. Fan Lei sighed. I hope it doesn't go to waste. On the other side, little 7 returned to the VIP stand and sat down beside Sima Yue with a long face. Sima Yue looked at her ugly little face and laughed. She used one hand to pinch her nose. Alright, don't be angry. Look, you've destroyed the arena. You should calm down now. Only she had the guts to pinch little 7's nose at this time. Let me destroy all 5 arenas. Then I won't be angry. Little 7 said angrily. You destroyed one. Director Mao and the rest are all heartbroken. Look at their faces, don't they look heartbroken? Sima Yue said. Little Seven followed his gaze and looked over. Sure enough, she saw Mao Sanquan's distressed expression. Seeing his eyebrows trembling, she laughed out loud. I just want him to feel heartbroken. Let's see if he dares to treat me like this next time. Little Seven said this, but she wasn't so angry anymore. With this lesson he won't dare to do it again. Sima Yue said. So don't be angry anymore. Yu is the best. Everyone wants to hide far away from me. Only you stay with me. Bei Gongtang and the rest couldn't help but twitch their mouths. Chapter 872. All the contestants rested for a day. The contestants were still fine and rested on their own. However, the other students were already in an uproar. The whole school was filled with people talking about the competition. As for the familiar faces from the previous batches, everyone wasn't too surprised. What they talked about the most was Sima Yue, the monster among the freshmen. The first place would definitely be Little Seven. There was no doubt about it and there was no debate about it. As for the second place, everyone started to debate. Some said it would be Wang Ximiao, some said it would be Hua Piao Miao. Some said that Wang Ximiao was the second place last time, so it would definitely be him this time. Some said that Hua Piao Miao only lost to Wang Ximiao by 1.5 moves in the previous competition. She had been working hard these few years and had improved a lot. She would definitely win against Wang Ximiao and become the second place. Others said that the second place would be Pang Jianan or Mo Bin. Because they performed well in the previous rounds and didn't lose to Wang Ximiao and Hua Piao Miao, the second place could also be theirs. 10 years wasn't a long time, but it wasn't short either. To the young people who were at the peak of their career, they could have improved a lot in these 10 years or they could have stayed the same. So it was hard to say who would be the second place. Among the many voices, there was a small voice that had a different opinion. I think that the second place will be Sima Yue, someone said. As for this opinion, some people supported it while others laughed. How could a freshman get to the second place? It was her luck to be able to enter the top 10. At the same time, somewhere in the mountains behind the school, Pang Jianan turned left and right and came to a mountain. He looked behind him and after confirming that there was no one, he entered the cave at the foot of the mountain. This cave was very deep. The surrounding walls had traces of new carvings. It was obvious that it was dug out not long ago. After he entered the cave, he took a few turns and entered the innermost stone room. In the stone room, an old man was meditating. When he heard that he had come, he opened his eyes and asked, "Why are you here?" Pang Jianan bowed to the old man and said, "I've already investigated what happened last time. At that time, Sima Yue and Little Seven gave Wang Ximiao that poison. At that time, the person who overheard our conversation was their member, Fatty Chu. I think that he was the one who told Sima Yue the news. That was why Sima Yue gave him the poison and hindered our previous operation." Sima Yue, where did this person come from? He actually managed to create a poison that can kill a monarch-level expert. The old man asked. Pang Jianan told the old man everything he had found out about Sima Yue and the others, allowing the old man to decide what to do next. That person was able to get so close to us last time. This means that he knows how to restrain his aura. The old man said, "He's called Fatty Chu, right? This person ruined our plans. Let's find a chance to get rid of him." "Yes, Elder Peng. His friends must know as well. Let's deal with them together," Elder Peng said. "What about Little Seven? I really didn't expect that after searching for so many years in the inner courtyard, the Eye of the Earth had actually transformed into a human form." Elder Peng said, "No wonder we couldn't find her even after searching for so long. This is indeed surprising." Pang Jianan said, "At first I didn't link Little Seven to the Eye of the Earth. However, I realized yesterday that Little Seven's strength is too strong. It's not something an ordinary transformed beast can possess. Therefore she is most likely the Eye of the Earth. Since we've already confirmed it, we should act quickly." Elder Peng said, "There are many experts in the academy. If I didn't have the help of a treasure, I wouldn't have been able to hide here for so long. I feel that recently, there have been divine senses scanning the back of the mountain. Therefore, I think the academy has already sensed something. Then we should act quickly." Pang Jianan said, "If we're late, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape. It's not likely that we can hide from the academy and kidnap the Eye of the Earth. Let's discuss a comprehensive plan and execute it immediately," Elder Peng said. "Should we ask for outside help?" Pang Jianan asked. "Not at the moment." Elder Peng said, The people in the academy have been watching closely. I don't dare to do anything. I'm afraid that once we contact the outside world, we will be discovered by those old fellows. How about this? You think of a way to bring the Eye of the Earth to the back of the mountain. As long as those old fellows don't come, we still have time to escape after capturing her. If it's within the academy, I'm afraid those old fellows will come even earlier. There's a space barrier in the academy. We can't tear through space. As long as we leave this area, we can leave successfully. Alright, I'll definitely think of a way to bring little Seven to the back of the mountain. Peng Jianan said. However, Elder Peng, that Wang Si Miao, the reason you gave that person last time, did he believe you? He did. Then continue to let them do it. Elder Peng said, it's best if they succeed. If they don't succeed, as long as we get the Eye of the Earth, everything else is trivial. I understand. Peng Jianan said, however, Elder Peng, we can find them to kill Wang Si Miao. However, if we want to kill Sima Yue and the others, I'm afraid it won't be easy to find them. After all, it won't be easy to find an excuse. Elder Peng thought for a while and said, the situation now is different. We have to prioritize getting the Eye of the Earth. We can't let other things affect this. Let's put aside the matter of those people for now. We'll talk about it again when we get out. Yes. Alright, you can go back first. If you don't get in touch with me, don't come here again unless the plan is carried out. Don't expose my location. Elder Peng said. Yes. Peng Jianan left the cave and looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, he left the back of the mountain and rushed towards the academy. What he didn't know was that on the big tree outside the cave, there were 2 scarlet bees hiding in the dense leaves. One of the scarlet bees followed him out of the back of the mountain. The other stayed on the tree and continued to watch the cave. Parting garden. Sima Yue, Little Seven and Wang Si Miao sat in the pavilion in the courtyard. How is it, did you hear any news? Little Seven asked. Sima Yue shook her head and said, there's a very strong person on the other side. The scarlet bees didn't dare to get close. They could only hear some things faintly. What did you hear faintly? They mentioned you and Senior. Sima Yue said, I don't know what it is exactly. I didn't think that there would be such an expert hidden in the academy. I wonder if the academy knows about this. Wang Si Miao said with a solemn face. No matter if they know or not, we have to remind Instructor Mao and the others. Sima Yue said, these people are hiding in the academy. They must have some secret that they can't let others know. To us, this is a huge hidden danger. She looked at Little Seven. The other party must be coming for Little Seven. She had to tell the academy. If Little Seven got into trouble, it would be too late for regrets. Chapter 873. Sima Yue went to look for Mao Sanquan. She wanted to remind him, but his reaction made her suspicious. Mao Sanquan said, don't let Little Seven go out alone recently. That means he knows someone is hiding in the academy. But before he could ask the question in his heart, he waved his hand and said, go back and prepare for tomorrow's match. I have high hopes for you. Remember, don't let Little Seven go to the back mountain alone. I got it. Sima Yue nodded and left. How was it? Little Seven was waiting for her downstairs. Seeing her come out, she jumped over and asked. She didn't go in with him because she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to control herself and would want to beat him up. I think the academy already knew about it, but they didn't do anything about it. Maybe he's waiting for something. Sima Yue said, Instructor Mao told you not to go to the back of the mountain alone. It's best if you don't walk around the school alone. As expected, they came for Little Seven. Wang Si Miao said. You know that too. Sima Yue looked at him warily. Don't worry. Wang Si Miao said, I don't have any other thoughts. I don't have any other thoughts. Sima Yue stared at him. If he dared to have any thoughts about Little Seven, she would have to think carefully about what to do. Yes. Wang Si Miao looked at her calmly. I know that Little Seven is the Eye of the Earth. However, I didn't plan to tell anyone about this, nor did I plan to kidnap Little Seven. Besides, I don't have the ability to do so. How did you know? Little Seven's strength is beyond human ability. You are already abnormal. Little Seven's fighting strength was so strong when she was young. At that time I was already suspicious. Wang Si Miao said, at that time I thought that Little Seven was some kind of transformed beast. But after I asked my teacher, he said that there were no transformed beast in the academy. At that time I suspected that Little Seven was the Eye of the Earth. Sima Yue looked at him, trying to determine if he was telling the truth. After that, I came into contact with Little Seven a few more times, but I didn't confirm my thoughts. Later, after seeing her evolve, I was able to confirm Little Seven's identity. Wang Ximiao said, however, I didn't spread the news about him. So, if you can think of it, so can Pang Jianan? Or rather, all of you can think of it, Sima Yue said. Not necessarily. Wang Ximiao said, Pang Jianan came for Little Seven, and because I've interacted with Little Seven a few times, we connected her to the eye of the earth. If other people don't pay attention to it, they might not notice it. Yu, he won't harm me. Little Seven said. Sima Yue saw that she trusted Wang Ximiao so much. She thought of the time when she asked her to give him the antidote. This meant that Little Seven trusted him. Since Little Seven didn't say anything, she naturally couldn't do anything. It was just that she kept an eye on him in her heart. Her expression changed as she made a new discovery. What is it, Yu? Little Seven asked. Sima Yue glanced at Wang Ximiao and said, the Scarlet Bee sent back news that Pang Jianan and the Cloaked Man met. Where are they? Wang Ximiao asked. The back of the mountain. When Sima Yue arrived at the back of the mountain, she saw the continuous mountain range and couldn't help but sigh. The back of the mountain was really a good place to hide evil. Those people who were planning to do bad things all hid here and no one would notice them. She brought Little Seven and Wang Ximiao to a mountain and stopped, saying, the other party is not weak, can you restrain your aura? Wang Ximiao nodded his head and activated a cultivation technique. His originally faint aura immediately retracted completely. If they weren't standing in front of him, they wouldn't have noticed him. What a high-level technique to hide one's aura, it was even better than her own. If she could get her hands on it and let her people learn it, then their battle abilities would increase by a lot. She just didn't know if this guy was willing to exchange it. Wang Ximiao saw Sima Yue staring at him, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. He was like a mouse being stared at by a cat. What's wrong? Nothing. Sima Yue smiled and said, since you've already retracted your aura, then let's go over. The three of them quietly approached and found a place to hide, listening to Pang Jianan and the Cloaked Man's conversation. Did you remember everything I just told you? Pang Jianan said. I've already remembered all the people you mentioned, but the price. The Black Cloaked Man's voice was hoarse. It was unknown if it was originally like this, or if it could be faked. One person, 100,000 middle-grade crystals. Pang Jianan said, this price is already very good. 100,000 middle-grade crystals, it's not bad. The Black Cloaked Man said, according to the old rules, pay half the deposit, and the rest will be paid when you see the head. Pang Jianan took out a crystal card and threw it to him, saying, I hope the sooner the better. Even if it's fast, it won't be that fast. We won't make a move in the academy. Once they leave, we'll naturally arrange it for you. The Black Cloaked Man said. Alright, I understand. Pang Jianan said, you can go back. But the Black Cloaked Man didn't move at all. What's wrong? Pang Jianan said unhappily. Last time you actually hid Wang Ximiao's identity. The Black Cloaked Man said, you used the excuse of a love rival to have us kill him, but the news we received recently is not like this. What news? Wang Ximiao is a member of the Wang clan. Just like your Pang clan, it's a big power. You didn't want to reveal the relationship between the two clans. But you used us and didn't tell us the truth, causing us to lose so much last time. Don't you think that you should give us some compensation? The Black Cloaked Man said. Wang Ximiao's matter has nothing to do with his identity, it's because Sima Yue gave him poison when he left the Karma Desert. Your people were poisoned by her poison, and that's why they were killed by Wang Ximiao. So, if you want to blame someone, you can only blame her. Pang Jianan shrugged and said unconcernedly. Sima Yue. So, I asked you to kill him not only because of me but because he knew about our matter. You killed him to keep it a secret for yourself. Pang Jianan said, if you don't leave, I'll leave. If someone sees us again, things will be troublesome. After he finished speaking, he turned and flew away, leaving the Black Cloaked Man alone. This is an assassin organization hidden in the academy. Sima Yue looked at Wang Ximiao in astonishment. Wang Ximiao shook his head. I don't know. This is the first time I've heard of such a thing. That person is leaving, what should we do? Little Seven pulled Sima Yue's sleeve and said. What else can we do? Let's capture him first. Sima Yue finished speaking and went out from her hiding place. Chapter 874. Pang Jianan was nowhere to be seen. The man in the black cloak thought about Sima Yue's situation and felt that this person would be difficult to deal with. To be able to refine such a poison, This was not something an ordinary person could do. Who is it? He sensed someone's aura, and when he turned around he saw 3 figures flying out from the boulder behind him. He knew Wang Ximiao, but he didn't know who the other 2 were even though they were so close to him. The 3 of them were very fast. In the blink of an eye, they were beside him and surrounded him in a triangle. Wang Ximiao. That person looked at Wang Ximiao. He didn't expect that he would be discovered. Who are you? Wang Ximiao looked at him. The cloak completely covered him, making it impossible to recognize him. You don't have the right to know who I am, the black-cloaked man said. I didn't expect that those people didn't kill you, but you actually appeared in front of me. So it really was you who sent people to kill me. Wang Ximiao said, but your people didn't manage to kill me. Instead they were all sent to hell by me. It's a pity that I wasn't able to find out your identities from them. How could you possibly find out the identities of my people? The man asked. Since they've killed you, I'll do it myself. You, didn't they say they were going to kill you? Little Seven clenched her fists and looked at the cloaked man with killing intent. Killing Wang Ximiao is one thing, but you actually want to kill you. See if I don't beat you to death today. Wang Ximiao was speechless. What did he mean by killing him? Killing Yue was out of the question. You're Sima Yue. The black-cloaked man recognized Yue immediately. You knew that he was looking for me here, so you followed him. I have to say, you guys are really bold. Your little grandaunt's guts aren't small. Otherwise she wouldn't have jumped out to catch you. You should obediently kneel in front of her. Who knows, we might even give you a quick death. Little Seven raised her chin and said. Sima Yue was speechless. When did this guy learn to speak like that? The hooded man's hoarse laughter made people feel very uncomfortable, as if a saw was cutting through their hearts. Although I rarely take action personally, since you 2 have encountered each other, I will first complete the previous mission and kill you, Wang Ximiao. Then I will deal with the 2 of you. Then let's see if you have the ability. Little Seven rolled up her sleeves and raised her fist to attack. Sima Yue pulled Wang Ximiao back to avoid being injured by the shockwaves. Little Seven's combat power was extraordinary. Lei Tian, who was a high-level monarch rank, was killed by her with a single punch. However, she didn't expect this black cloak to be able to fight with her for so long. This person is so strong, no wonder he dares to walk around the school. Sima Yue said. For example, the person Pang Jianan contacted didn't dare to walk around casually. He could only hide in the back of the mountain and not come out. Perhaps he dares to walk around the academy because he's familiar with the academy and isn't afraid of being exposed. Wang Ximiao said. Do you think he's a teacher at the academy? Sima Yue asked. I guessed. Why would a teacher at the academy do such a thing to assassinate a student? This is too unbelievable. Sima Yue said, if it's true, why would there be so many outsiders in the academy? The academy isn't that weak, right? Lo, weak chicken. Sima Yue changed the word. Weak chicken, what do you mean? It means that the academy is weak and weak. That's why so many outsiders are allowed to enter the academy. Sima Yue said. No, the academy wouldn't be that weak. Wang Ximiao used what he had learned. Although I haven't seen the academy's strength, I've heard that the academy has a strong defense and strong combat power. Not just anyone can enter. What about that person from the Pang clan? He's an accident. Mao Sanquan's voice rang out beside them, giving them a fright. Instructor Mao, why are you here? Sima Yue asked. You guys made such a big commotion, how could we not come? Mao Sanquan said. This guy appears and disappears like a ghost, how did you guys find him? We followed Pang Jianan, he contacted this person and we just happened to meet him. Wang Ximiao said. Instructor Mao, you know him? Sima Yue asked. I know. Not only him, there's also the one you mentioned before. There are many other people hidden in the academy. Mao Sanquan said. Since the academy knows, why didn't they take action? She didn't understand. Haven't they already taken action? Mao Sanquan said, only by stirring the pot will those hidden at the bottom of the pot surface. Little Seven, don't tell me you guys let Little Seven participate in the competition to let those people reveal themselves? She thought of Little Seven and looked at him strangely. You can say that. Mao Sanquan said. Little Seven heard his words from the side and was so angry that she almost jumped. Oh Mao, you're still watching the show? She roared. Who's watching the show? I came specially for this. Mao Sanquan said. Then why aren't you taking this guy down? I believe you can do it. Mao Sanquan looked at her and smiled. If you really can't do it, I'll take your place. The black-cloaked man panicked when he saw Mao Sanquan appear. How did he get here so quickly? He was already here. Where were the other experts of the academy? No, he had to hurry up and get out. Little Seven sensed his intentions and grabbed his arm, saying, I haven't even seen your true face. Why are you leaving already? If I let you leave, I don't think I'll be able to survive. That person was grabbed by her and his body instinctively resisted, but it was useless. His entire body was thrown towards Mao Sanquan. How passionate. Mao Sanquan took out a rope and threw it at him, tying him up. Pung, that rope seemed to be alive. After tying him up, he couldn't break free and fell to the ground like a dumpling. Come, let me see who it is that actually has the ability to hide in the academy and do these shady things, killing my students. Mao Sanquan walked over and said. Sima Yue also followed. She was very curious about this person's identity. Mao Sanquan came to his side, squatted down and lifted his cloak. It's you. Mao Sanquan cried out in surprise. Sima Yue went over to take a look and was stunned. She pointed at him and said, This isn't him. No. Mao Sanquan knew who she was talking about and denied it. He then took out something and connected it to the others. Sima Yue looked at Mao Sanquan suspiciously. This old face was obviously that of the old man from the outer academy library. How could Mao Sanquan say that it wasn't him? Chapter 875. Although Sima Yue knew him, he didn't seem to remember her. The way he looked at her was strange. It was as if he had never seen him before. Something was wrong. Back then, he often went to borrow books and was already familiar with the old man in the library. How could he forget him so quickly? This was impossible for a spirit master. Unless he had amnesia and couldn't remember the past. But would spirit masters suffer from amnesia? It's not him. Little Seven knew what Sima Yue was thinking and said, I've seen that old man before. He stays in the library in the outer courtyard all day long. Their auras are different. So they just look the same? That old man's twin brother? Not long after Fan Lei arrived. When he saw the people tied up on the ground, he was very surprised. He and Mao Sanquan went to the side and whispered something. Strange. Shouldn't Mao Sanquan and the others immediately deal with the people they caught with bad intentions in the academy? Why didn't the two of them care about the people on the ground, and instead went to the side to talk? From the looks of it, they knew this person. After a while, there was a slight fluctuation in the space. Sima Yue looked over and saw the space tunnel opening. An old man walked out from it. It was the old man in the outer yard library. Elderly, Mao Sanquan and Fan Lei both bowed to him. Their etiquette was that of a junior bowing to an elder. Old Master Li nodded at them. He ignored the person on the ground and looked at Sima Yue. Mao Sanquan and the others were the ones who bowed, so it was better for the three of them to obediently bow. Elder Li, not bad. Old Master Li looked at Sima Yue. She had improved so quickly in such a short time. She was indeed a good seedling. Thank you, Elder Li, for taking care of me when I was in the outer courtyard. Sima Yue said. At that time, when she went to borrow books, he would say something to her from time to time and give her some pointers. Later, because she was busy and Shimen Feng's matter was solved, she rarely went to the library. He didn't expect to see him here today. I can't say that I took care of you, but it wasn't bad to chat with you. It's a pity that you didn't visit me in the end. Elder Li sighed. It wasn't easy to find a pleasing young man these days. What have you been doing recently? He asked. Sima Yue was about to answer. Elder Li, he. Fan Lei looked at the person on the ground and reminded him. What was wrong with old Master Li? Shouldn't he be dealing with this matter first? Why did it seem like he wanted to chat with Sima Yue? Elder Li shifted his gaze to Fan Lei. Seeing that he was a little anxious, he said, Forget it. I'll catch up with the little guy later. Let's deal with this first. After saying that, he walked to the other side. The people on the ground turned pale when they saw old Master Li. Their bodies trembled when they saw him walk in. Li Jiao, don't come over, he shouted at Boss Li. Old Man Li came to his side and looked at his trembling body. Li Ying, you're still alive. Li Ying turned his head to the side and refused to answer him. I always thought that you were dead. I didn't think that not only were you alive, you even established an assassin organization under the cover of the academy and persuaded the students of the academy to join. You wanted to find new blood here, Li Jiao continued. How did you know? We're twins. I know what you're doing just by looking at you, Li Jiao said. Xiao Mao and the rest are still young. It's not easy for them to deal with you, so they called me over. You should have known that someone would find out about you one day. Old Master Li's voice was very soft. He was not anxious, but his words were still a little sad. However, Yue and the rest could not help but want to laugh. Students had to respectfully call Mao San Quan Director Mao. Fan Lei and the rest called him Old Mao. He was indeed quite old. But today he was called Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao. Thinking of this, they could not help but laugh. Mao San Quan glared at the three of them and they immediately stopped laughing. You guys take him back first. You can deal with him however you want, Li Jiao said. We've already broken off our brotherhood. You don't have to care about me. Yes, Old Master Li, Mao San Quan replied. Old Master Li, aren't you coming with us? Fan Lei asked. Old Master Li looked at the mountains behind and said, there are still a few flies hiding here. I didn't want to care about them, but since we're out, I'll let you guys take a look. Otherwise, that old man will come back and say that I didn't take good care of you guys. The person that Old Master Li called Old Man was definitely not one of the principals of the academy. Old Master Li, you already knew? Sima Yue asked in surprise. I knew, Li Jiao said. They're just a few flies. They can't do anything, so I just left them be. Who knew that these guys would not do anything after so long? I don't know if they found out. They haven't found out everything yet. Originally, I planned to deal with them all at once, Mao San Quan said. It's been so many years. Seems like I should train you guys properly. You guys have been too lax these years. The academy has been ruined because of you guys, Li Jiao said. Don't think that I don't know anything just because I'm outside. Mao San Quan and Fan Lei lowered their heads when they heard his reproachful words. I'll talk to you guys later. Li Jiao did not want to embarrass them in front of the younger generation. Little Fan, bring Li Ying back and watch over him. Xiao Mao, come with me to kill the flies. You three can go back by yourselves. After he finished speaking, he and Mao San Quan went to the back of the mountain. Fan Lei picked up the person on the ground and left. Before he left, he reminded the three of them to go back quickly. Chapter 876. Pang Jianan didn't come to the finals the next day. The explanation given by the academy was that he went to the forbidden area yesterday and violated the academy's rules, so he was expelled from the academy. The person who was ranked third on the Wind Cloud leaderboard was kicked out just like that. Furthermore, it was during the Wind Cloud leaderboard competition. The students of the academy were in an uproar when they heard the news. That's no small thing. Those who had been to the forbidden area were afraid that the academy would drag them out and expel them. However, there were also people who doubted the academy's statement. After all, at this time, Pang Jianan should be preparing for the next day's competition. Why would she go to the forbidden area? It doesn't make sense. Therefore, there must be a reason why he didn't appear in the competition. However, if the academy didn't say anything, they wouldn't know either. Fortunately, although Pang Jianan was strong, he did not have any real followers. Those who followed him in the past all knew that he was actually a person who had his tail up to the sky. On the surface he looked very friendly, but in reality he looked down on people. Therefore, there was no one who truly had a good relationship with him or cared about him. Therefore, even if he backed out halfway, it was just like a stone thrown into the water, causing a few ripples. Because one person had withdrawn, the 9 people who had been eliminated earlier drew lots to replace him, making a total of 10 people. Now, come up and draw lots to decide your opponents. The teacher said to the 10 people. The person who just came up was very happy. He was a little disappointed when he was eliminated, but he didn't expect that he would have such an opportunity to rise. However, his happiness didn't last long before a basin of cold water was poured over him. His opponent is Little Seven on the stage. Seven looked at him and said, "If you admit defeat, I won't beat you up." No. The other party also had a backbone. Although you are very strong, I still want to compete with you. All right. Little Seven said, seeing that you have such a backbone, I won't make things difficult for you. Can we begin? She turned to look at the referee. The referee nodded. She quickly rushed over and sent her opponent flying with a punch. She landed in a perfect arc from the ring all the way to the ground. She had controlled her strength very well, and her opponent did not suffer any serious injuries after landing. Another one. When the crowd saw her like this, they didn't feel too excited anymore. Arena number 1, Little Seven wins. The judge announced. Little Seven waited for him to announce his decision before jumping off the stage and smiling at Sima Yue. You come down quickly. Because the one in the middle was destroyed by Little Seven, only 4 of them could use it. Sima Yue was in the 5th group, so she could only wait. I'll try my best, Sima Yue said as she went up the stage. Yifeng was very excited. After waiting for so long, he could finally fight with her. Although the chances of him winning were not high, at least he had fulfilled his wish. He went up the platform and summoned his contract beast. We will only compete with ourselves, not our spirit beasts, Sima Yue said. If they were to compare their contracted beasts, there was no comparison at all. Yifeng thought about it and kept his contract beast. Come. Both of them mobilized their spiritual power at the same time. Yu Yu's strength as a beginner God Emperor was completely exposed. He really is an early-stage God Emperor. I always thought that it was just a rumor. I didn't expect it to be true. Even a new student is so much stronger than us. This is too much of a blow to us. Stop howling. Let's watch them fight. Yifeng was also a beginner God Emperor. His attribute was metal. Because of his rich battle experience, he was very familiar with spiritual techniques. Very quickly, hundreds of small swords appeared in front of him. Every single one of them looked extremely sharp. Sima Yue used fire attribute. Her fire attribute formed a flaming blade. One blade against hundreds of small swords. Can she handle it? In such a situation, she should have used Rain of Flames. She's so young and doesn't have much battle experience. If her large blade can block a portion of the small swords, she shouldn't be too heavily injured. Some people on the stage were anxious for her. Some were discussing. Go. Yifeng controlled his spiritual swords to attack. Sima Yue immediately waved her large blade to meet him. The originally clumsy large blade was actually wielded very well by her. It formed a blade shadow net in front of her and scattered all the spiritual swords. Everyone was stunned by her move. The swords scattered but the blade did not. After scattering all the swords, she controlled the large blade in her hand and slashed towards Yifeng. When Yifeng saw the large blade coming towards him, a shield appeared in his left hand and blocked the large blade in front of him. In an instant, his spiritual energy transformed. This reaction, this speed, if not for his rich battle experience, he would not be able to do it. He blocked the large blade with his left hand. Occasionally he would take out a long sword and inject spiritual energy into it. After slashing the large blade a few times, the large blade would scatter. Sima Yue did not expect to defeat Yifeng with a spiritual technique. Seeing that the large blade was scattered, he took out his long sword. She quickly formed a fire dragon whip. The fire dragon whip flew past. Yifeng waved his long sword and chopped off a portion of it. However, this was not a real whip. After a portion was chopped off, another portion grew out and quickly wrapped around his long sword. He pulled with all his strength, but his sword was still wrapped tightly around the whip. What strength! He muttered to himself. He gathered spiritual energy in his hands and attacked Sima Yue. Sima Yue quickly formed a fire shield that was as tall as a person and blocked his spiritual energy. At the same time, she moved her hand and the fire dragon whip let go of his long sword. She took the opportunity to whip him. After an hour, Yifeng's spiritual energy was depleted. However, Sima Yue did not show any signs of fatigue. The dagger was placed on his neck and he had no choice but to admit defeat. To him, this battle was a satisfying one. However, he knew that Yu did not use much of her strength. If she wanted to, she could have finished him off in a shorter time. She only wanted to accompany him in this battle. I admit defeat. You are indeed powerful. This was the first time he admitted defeat willingly. In the past, no matter how badly he was beaten up, he would never admit defeat. All he wanted was to increase his strength before fighting again. Only this time he admitted defeat. Sima Yue kept Ling Long and smiled. You are not bad yourself. Seeing this, the referee announced, Arena 1, Sima Yue wins. The two of them walked down the arena together. Although Yifeng lost, he was very excited. He was even happier than when he won the previous battles. After watching the battle between the two of them, the students in the stands looked at Sima Yue in a different light. Although she saw a lot of the battle between Lu Mingyuan and her in the academy, it did not last long. She chose to end the battle quickly. Although it was very exciting, it did not last long. Moreover, many people were in seclusion, so not many people knew about it. By the time they came out, it was already over. However, today was different. In front of almost all the students in the academy, she used her own strength to defeat Yifeng, the battle maniac in everyone's eyes. She used her strength to tell everyone that she did not come this far because of luck, but because she deserved it. Chapter 877. Because of the small number of people, this round of the competition ended before noon. However, because everyone had to recover their spiritual energy, there was no competition today. Other than Sima Yue, there were no surprises in the list of people who advanced. There were Little Seven, Wang Si Miao, Hua Piao Miao, and Mo Bin. There was not much difference between the top 5 and last year. The only difference was that Sima Yue had replaced Pang Jinan's position. Because Little 7 was too heaven-defying, she directly advanced in this round. She didn't need to fight to be in the top 3. Actually, according to the Academy's intention, she should directly take first place. However, she disagreed and said that she wanted to fight for it herself. This made the teacher choke on his words. Little ancestor, I only allowed you to participate in the competition because I needed you. If you fight your way up layer by layer, you'll still be number 1. However, Little Red insisted on fighting the last match, so they had no choice. Thus, she was directly promoted. The second day was the real semifinals. Because Little 7 directly advanced, the remaining 4 people drew lots to decide their opponents. Yu, who is your opponent? Little 7 came over and asked. Sima Yue shook her head and showed her signature. Number 2. Little 7 read it aloud, then said to the other 3, which one of you is number 2? Hua Piaomiao waved the stick in her hand. You are number 2? 7 asked. Hua Piaomiao nodded. She thought Little 7 was going to say something, but in the end she pulled Sima Yue and left. Nowadays there was no need to play together, so it was all one-on-one. First then second. Sima Yue and Little 7 returned to the resting area. Yu, don't go easy on him during the competition. Little 7 said, I originally wanted to beat her up if I met her, but now it seems that she definitely can't beat you. So I don't have a chance. It's all up to you now. Last time in the Karma Desert she said that to you. I remember it. Little 7 said, I've always wanted to beat her up, but I've never had the chance to do so openly. Isn't this an opportunity? So you have to make good use of it. Sima Yue was speechless by her words, but she could still listen to her. Previously, a certain someone kept saying that they were new students and didn't take them seriously at all. Now that he had met her, it would be good to take her down a notch. Otherwise she would always be so high and mighty. On the stage, Mo Bin and Wang Ximiao's duel could not be said to be earth-shattering, but it was also brilliant beyond compare, making the people watching from the grandstand slap the table in praise. Wang Ximiao was ranked second in the previous Wind Cloud ranking list, and his strength was definitely not to be underestimated. Mo Bin was ranked 5th last time, but he had improved very quickly in the past 10 years. Their strength was almost the same, so they were naturally equally matched. Yu, who do you think will win? Little 7 asked. It's hard to say, Sima Yue said, but I think no matter who wins they won't win much. If it wasn't in the ring but in real life, I think both sides would suffer. The difference isn't that big. Little 7 said, but they aren't your match. You really think highly of me. Sima Yue said. Of course, I know your strength. Your ability to fight those of a higher level is amazing. Little 7 said confidently. I still can't compare to you. But how strong are you now? Sima Yue looked at her curiously. At first, when she saw Little 7 kill the 2 Monarch-ranked experts with one punch, she thought that she was a high-level Monarch-ranked expert. Then she killed Lei Tianquan, a high-level Monarch-ranked expert. She knew that Little 7's strength was slightly higher than a Monarch-ranked expert, but it shouldn't be too far off. However, that day she actually fought with Li Ying for so long without being at a disadvantage. At that time, she knew that Little 7's strength was not what she thought it was. I'm not telling you. Little 7 giggled as she held onto her arm, saying, just remember that I'm very weak and need your protection. Sima Yue looked at her speechlessly. Was this girl planning to hide her strength and pretend to be weak? But how was she like that? But if she didn't want to say, then so be it. It wasn't important anyway. Very quickly the outcome of the duel on the stage was decided. Just as Sima Yue and the rest had guessed, Wang Ximiao won by a narrow margin. First group, Wang Ximiao wins. Second group, begin. Sima Yue and Hua Piaomiao, who was sitting on the other side of the resting area, stood up. The two of them looked at each other and flew up the stage at the same time. I didn't expect that you would make it this far. Hua Piaomiao stood still and smiled, saying, as a new student, you've created a legendary result. But your legend is about to end. As a new student, you're already very impressive. As your senior sister, I'm very proud of you. Sima Yue looked at the smile on her face and thought of a phrase from her previous life. White Lotus, it was really suitable for her. Originally, she didn't want to slap her face so much, but she kept saying that she was a new student and that she was not bad. It made her feel very uncomfortable. Whether she was capable or not, she didn't need such a hypocrite to judge her. Since Hua Piaomiao was always so high up and looked down on everyone, then she would let her have a taste of falling into the mortal world and rolling around in the mud, so that she wouldn't look like a new student in the future. Senior Hua, let's not talk about other things, please? Sima Yue interrupted her. It was the first time Hua Piao Miao was interrupted in public. Even if Mo Bin didn't like to talk to her in the past, it wouldn't be like this. This new student really didn't know how to respect people. Moreover, a guy shouldn't be so disrespectful to a girl. Feeling embarrassed, she couldn't maintain the smile on her face. Don't think that you can dominate the school with Yifeng, I'll let you understand. Senior, you talk too much. Sima Yue condensed her spiritual energy and looked at her, as if saying, if you continue to be so long-winded, I'll directly attack. Hua Piao Miao couldn't maintain her face anymore. She pulled a long face and said, it's not good for new students to be too arrogant. I'll teach you how to conduct yourself on behalf of your parents. Sima Yue heard this and her face immediately darkened. Teach her how to conduct herself on behalf of her parents? Was she saying that her parents didn't teach her well? She could tolerate her talking bad about her, but she wouldn't allow her to criticize her parents. In her previous life, her parents were very good. In this life, no matter if it was her biological parents or her parents in name, they weren't by her side. She believed that they had their own difficulties, which was why they couldn't accompany her as she grew up. Who wouldn't love their own child? Who wouldn't want to be by their child's side? They already suffered so much, what right did an outsider have to judge? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but be furious. She threw a fireball over and shouted coldly, teach me on behalf of my parents? You don't have that right. Taz. Chapter 878. The fireball flew towards Hua Piao Miao. The flame carried Yueyue's anger and burned even more vigorously. Hua Piao Miao didn't take her attack seriously. Her hands made a beautiful knot in front of her chest, and a water dragon flowed out from her palms. The water dragon flew around her body a few times, protecting her in the middle. As the fireball approached the water dragon, it gradually extinguished. Flood dragon goes to sea. Hua Piao Miao yelled. The water dragon that was surrounding her flew out and grew rapidly behind her. The small water dragon turned into a huge flood dragon. Ong! The flood dragon actually let out a real roar, stunning everyone present. She's actually making a sound. Her spiritual skill is too powerful. Isn't that so? Normally, the spirit beasts created by spirit techniques would not be able to make a sound. I didn't expect her to be able to. As expected of the person ranked third on the wind cloud list. His strength is indeed different. Senior Sister Hua must be angry. I've never seen her use this move before. This flood dragon emerges from the sea is one of Hua Piao Miao's ultimate skills. She usually doesn't use it. I didn't expect that she would actually use it to deal with a freshman. Looks like she's really angry. Who asked her to make Senior Hua angry? That's right. Senior Sister Hua kindly reminded her, but she didn't take it seriously and even dared to disrespect Senior Sister Hua. I want her to have a taste of Senior Hua's power and see if she still dares to speak like that in the future. Sima Yue looked at the flood dragon that was getting bigger and bigger. She was not afraid. Instead, she quickly formed a seal with her hands and a small vermilion bird was formed in front of her. Chirp chirp, the little vermilion bird was only a foot long after it was fully formed. Compared to the flood dragon which was several meters long, it was like an ant compared to an elephant. There was no comparison in terms of size. Look at her spiritual skill. How can such a small spirit beast be compared to Senior Sister Hua's flood dragon? That dragon will definitely take care of that little bird in a matter of minutes. That's for sure. When Fatty Chu and the others heard their discussions, they angrily said, a bunch of love-struck fools. Wait until Yoyue's bird kills her flood dragon. Let's see if you will still say that. If they want to say it, then let them. In any case, the final result will be a slap to their faces. Wei Ziqi said. The two spirit beasts had successfully transformed. As soon as their masters gave the order, they attacked each other. Chirp chirp, the two spirit beasts met in the air. One was fire, the other was water. Their attributes were opposite. After they met, a huge collision occurred. It was as if they were real spirit beasts. It didn't disperse, the people in the stand said in surprise. Hua Piaomiao's ability was higher than Sima Yoyue's. When the two spirit beasts collided, shouldn't little vermilion bird have dispersed? However, the little vermilion bird only trembled slightly, and didn't seem like it was going to dissipate at all. Instead, it was the flood dragon's body that swayed slightly. Flood dragon, go and eat them. Hua Piaomiao ordered. Little vermilion bird, go. Let her see if she has the ability to eat you, Sima Yue said. Upon receiving their master's orders, the two beasts charged forward again and the little vermilion bird flew into the flood dragon's mouth. Ong! The flood dragon swallowed the little vermilion bird and let out a high-pitched cry to celebrate its victory. However, before he could finish speaking, the voice behind him became incomparably sharp, as if he was experiencing pain. Chirp chirp, the little vermilion bird that everyone thought had already dispersed suddenly cried out. That sound came from the flood dragon's stomach. Chirp chirp, ong. Little vermilion bird flew out from the flood dragon's stomach. The latter let out a shrill cry and dissipated into a bit of familiar spirit energy, fusing into the air. That little bird actually broke Hua Piaomiao's flood dragon out of the sea. Both of their attributes counter each other. Water can destroy fire, but fire can also turn water into air. No matter what, the fire attribute's attack is always stronger than the water attributes. I just won by a little. Someone said, Hua Piaomiao has more than one ultimate skill. Hua Piaomiao also knew that the fire and water attributes counter each other. The reason why her flood dragon lost was because of their attributes counter each other. I soared. She shouted again and formed a seal with both hands. Many ice arrows flew towards Sima Yue. Dual attribute spirit master? Sima Yue muttered. It's not rare to have dual attributes, but it's rare to have a combination of ice and water. Seeing that the ice arrows were about to reach her, not only did she not move, she even stood there in a daze. Chirp chirp, little vermilion bird flew over and ate all the ice arrows. This was also considered a form of defense. Hua Piaomiao did not think that little vermilion bird actually had the ability to swallow her spirit technique. Hence, she did not use all her strength. Now that the ice arrows were eaten, there was no use regretting. You do have some skills. Hua Piaomiao said, unfortunately this is not enough. Whether it's enough or not, Senior Hua will know in a while. Sima Yue said. You're really confident. I hope you can still be like this later. Hua Piaomiao said, I don't like to drag my battles. Let's end this quickly. You have to take the next move well. After speaking, she formed a seal with both hands quickly. Streams of water flowed out from her palms. The water flowed to the ground and became more numerous. Very quickly the entire arena was filled with water. Because there was a barrier around the arena, the water did not flow down the edge of the arena. Instead it rose higher and higher. The water seemed to be sticky as it stuck to her feet, preventing her from flying. Ice ceiling 10,000 miles. She stretched out both hands with her palms facing upwards. A cold aura was emitted from her body, causing the temperature in the entire barrier to drop. Sima Yue felt her face turn cold. She raised her head and saw that it was actually snowing. This was not the peak of a mountain, nor was it an extremely cold place. She actually managed to make snow here. This Hua Piaomiao's ability had already reached the level of being able to melt with nature. Those snowflakes were not natural snowflakes. After they fell into the water, they quickly froze the water. Then, with them as the center, the surrounding water was frozen as well. Kacha kacha, the sound of ice forming was extremely loud. Sima Yue lowered her head. The ice had already reached her ankles. It's not too late for you to admit defeat now. Hua Piaomiao said, if your entire body is frozen, even if I control my strength, you will still be injured. She still had that fake look on her face. Sima Yue glanced at her and rejected her flatly. Isn't it a little too early for me to admit defeat now? Then we'll have to continue. Hua Piaomiao said, if you admit defeat, I will stop immediately. Sima Yue's body ignited with flames, but it could not stop the ice from spreading. This is not a water attribute. Your flames will not cause much damage to it. Hua Piaomiao said, if you turn the ice into water, it will extinguish your water. If you want to use this to break it, it won't work. Who said I want to use this? Sima Yue said, isn't it just a dual attribute? You're not the only one who has it. Chapter 879. Hua Piaomiao looked at her. She was so calm and confident. Could it be that she really had other moves to counter her spiritual technique? Sima Yue stretched out her hands. There was no flame in her palms, but a ball of golden spiritual energy. Metal attribute spirit power, you are also a dual elemental spirit master. Hua Piaomiao was shocked. Previously, no one knew that Sima Yue was actually a dual elemental soul master. She had always used fire elemental soul power in her battles. She didn't expect her to reveal it now. The people in the stands were also surprised. It wasn't that they had never seen a dual element soul master before, but they had never seen such a low-key soul master. If it was an ordinary person, he would have made it known to everyone long ago. The spiritual power in Yoyue's hand turned into a halberd that looked just like the heaven's halberd. She picked up the halberd and ruthlessly stabbed it down. The entire ice surface, with the halberd as the center, began to crack. When the ice cubes around her feet shattered into ice shards, she stomped her feet, shook off the ice shards on her body, and then quickly flew into the air. At the same time, she quickly condensed fire-type spiritual energy in her palm. The spiritual energy transformed into flames and another small vermilion bird appeared. However, this time the little vermilion bird was not as small as before. When it flew down from the sky, it grew bigger and bigger. By the time it reached the stage, it was almost half the size of the stage. Hua Piao Miao could feel the heat released by the flames this time. She didn't dare to be careless. She quickly formed a water circle around her to protect herself, blocking the flames outside. From her point of view, Sima Yue needed a lot of spiritual energy to maintain such a huge flame. However, her own defense did not require much spiritual energy. As long as he exhausted her fire attribute spirit energy, then used his water attribute spirit energy to deal with her metal attribute spirit energy, he would be able to win. After a while, the flames slowly died down. Through the water screen, Hua Piao Miao saw that the ice she had formed earlier had turned into water. The entire arena was wet. She removed the water screen and raised her head to see Sima Yue looking at her with a familiar spiritual energy. We can end this. Sima Yue struck down a few lightning attribute bolts. One of them struck towards Hua Piao Miao while the rest struck towards the water on the ground. CICI. Ice was an insulator, but water was a very good conductor. All the electricity flowed chaotically on the stage and all of it flowed towards Hua Piao Miao. Ah! Hua Piao Miao blocked the lightning from the sky, but she was electrocuted by the current from the water. Her whole body was electrocuted black and her hair was curled up. CICI. The electric current flowed all over her body. She couldn't resist it even if she wanted to. She fell into the water and kept twitching. Heavens! She's a three-element spirit master. Someone on the viewing platform shouted. There were many dual-elemental spiritual masters, but there were not many triple-elemental spiritual masters. Recently they rarely appeared. He did not expect her to be a triple-elemental spiritual master. So low-key is a tri-elemental psychic master. Everyone felt that they had been provoked today. She was constantly refreshing everyone's understanding of her. Sima Yue fell from the sky into the water. The electric current crawled up her body, but it did not cause any harm to her. She looked straight at the person on the ground and said, "Senior Hua, you've lost. I'm sorry, but I, as a new student, accidentally beat you." Hua Piao Miao looked at her with difficulty. Seeing the coldness in her eyes, a murderous intent emerged in her heart. "Senior Sister Hua, you want to kill me?" Sima Yu could feel her murderous intent, saying, "It's just a competition. Could it be that Senior Sister Hua wants to kill me just because she lost the competition? It looks like Senior Sister Hua's parents have brought up a narrow-minded daughter. If Hua Piao Miao really wanted to kill her, she would not be soft-hearted." Hua Piao Miao almost vomited blood from Yoyue's words. Before the competition, she secretly mocked her for being uneducated. She did not expect her to retaliate so quickly. How could her Hua family's honor be slandered by a lowly human like her? Her arrogant Thousand Crane clan would not allow her to lose to a human. Thinking of this, white feathers began to grow on her body. An aura that belonged to a spirit beast exploded from her body. Bird Clan's Sima Yue did not expect Hua Piao Miao to become like this. She was very surprised. She did not hear that she was from the Bird Clan. Not only her, even the teachers and students of the school were shocked. No one knew that she was a spirit beast. No, this aura is not pure from the Bird Clan. Sima Yue quickly denied her own thoughts. It just has the aura of the Bird Clan. It should be the bloodline of the Bird Clan. A person with the bloodline of the Bird Clan. Aya, isn't this a birdman? Hua Piao Miao almost vomited blood because of her words. Everyone on the spectator stand laughed because of this. Especially Little Seven in the resting area and Fatty Chu on the spectator stand. Both of them were laughing so hard that they held their stomachs. Birdman, haha, Birdman, that's a good word. Little Seven laid on a chair in the resting area and held her stomach. Her two little legs kept kicking on the chair. Hua Piao Miao stood up and looked at Sima Yue. Her eyes were filled with ruthlessness. At this moment, her body was still in human form, but there was a pair of wings on her back. Her clothes were torn apart and her entire body was covered in white feathers. There aren't many people who can force me to this stage. She shook her wings and flew up from the water, leaving the lightning. You really look like a birdman now, Sima Yue said. Humph, a lowly human dares to slander my noble thousand-crane bloodline. I can't let you go. Hua Piao Miao shouted. She shook her wings and quickly flew towards Sima Yue. After activating her bloodline, her body was comparable to a spirit beast. Although the Thousand Crane clan's body was not the strongest among all spirit beasts, it was more than enough to deal with a human spirit master. However, she missed out on one thing. Yue's body was not a normal body. She had trained her body for so long and had been tempered by lightning. Her body was already comparable to a spirit beast's. Of course, her lips and earlobes were still soft. Otherwise, Mo Sha would not have bitten them. Yu, go beat her up and pull out all her feathers. Little Seven jumped on the ground and shouted at Sima Yue. Everyone looked at Little Seven speechlessly. She had a spirit beast's bloodline. Even if there were rumors that Yue walked the path of training her body and her body was stronger than a normal spirit master, it was impossible for her to be stronger than someone with a spirit beast's bloodline. Furthermore, who cheered someone on like that? What did she mean by pulling out all her feathers? That was too uncultured. If Little Seven knew what they were thinking, she would definitely ask, "What is cultured? Can it be eaten? If not, then shut up." Hua Piao Miao's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, she was in front of Sima Yue. She reached out her hand towards Sima Yue, wanting to tear her apart. At this moment, Sima Yue saw that her hand had turned into claws. It looked really ugly. Chapter 880. Hua Piao Miao sent a palm strike over and Sima Yue welcomed it with her palm. Everyone thought that Sima Yue's palm would definitely be injured, but the two of them flew back after their palms collided. They did not expect to see Sima Yue's palm being severed. What a strong body! Wang Si Miao exclaimed as he looked at Sima Yue. It's dozens of times stronger than our bodies, Mo Bin said. He and Wang Si Miao were both training their bodies. Although they weren't purely on the path of body refinement, they were still stronger than the average person. But if it were them, they wouldn't dare to receive Hua Piao Miao's palm, let alone retaliate. Hua Piao Miao retreated tens of meters before stopping. She felt the pain in her palm. She stared at Sima Yue in shock. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Sima Yue's hand was also in pain. She shook it a few times and muttered, "This fellow's webbed palm is really hard. It hurts so much." The people around them heard her words and looked at their hands, feeling speechless. Obviously, Hua Piao Miao's hand was trembling more, but your hand wasn't trembling at all. You still have the cheek to say that you're in pain? Umph. The viciousness in Hua Piao Miao's eyes increased. She paused for a while and continued to fly towards Sima Yue. Again? Sima Yue shouted and went forward again. In close combat, the two of them were extremely fast. The people outside realized that their eyes could not keep up with their speed. The two of them continued fighting for more than 10 minutes. Sima Yue's hands were hurting. This birdman was really thick-skinned. Yu, pluck her feathers. Little Seven shouted from below the stage. It seemed that she hadn't given up on this. When Hua Piao Miao heard Lil Seven's words, she was even angrier. The two of them are ganging up to humiliate me. Kill her. Kill Sima Yue. A voice in her body was clamoring, causing her to gradually lose her rationality. She became even crazier and more ruthless. Sima Yue felt her change. Seeing Hua Piao Miao's eyes turn blood red, she knew that she was completely controlled by the spirit beast bloodline in her body. You want to kill me? Let's see if you have the ability. Hua Piao Miao sent a kick towards her head. Yue didn't dodge this time. She just tilted her body and avoided her attack. At the same time, she grabbed onto her ankle. Spiritual power quickly condensed in her hand and flames started to burn. Ah! Almost her entire leg was on fire. She screamed and kicked Sima Yue's hand away. She flew to the back and condensed water to extinguish the fire on her leg. Although the fire was extinguished, all the feathers on her leg had been burned away, leaving only a few sparse feathers. Her entire leg was pitch black. Ha ha ha. Little Seven laughed loudly below the stage. You didn't pluck her feathers. Burning her feathers isn't bad either. Ah. Shut up. Hua Piao Miao shouted at Little Seven. That manic look was not as gentle and elegant as before. Little Seven made a strange face at her and said, No, I want to laugh. Haha, you burn all the feathers on her body. Good luck. Hua Piao Miao couldn't go down to kill Little Seven. She could only direct her anger to Sima Yue. How dare you burn my precious feathers? You're courting death. She pulled her wings back, and an illusion of 1,000 cranes appeared behind her. The illusion had its eyes closed. Although its eyes couldn't be seen, one could still feel the vigorous energy in its body. On the rostrum, the teacher in charge of hosting looked at Mao Sanquan and asked, "Instructor Mao, do you want to?" Mao Sanquan shook his head, indicating that he didn't need to care. This was not a problem for her. That teacher saw this and didn't say anything else. However, he was extremely nervous as he stared at the arena. If something really happened, he would be able to react immediately. Sima Yue looked at the 1,000 crane with its eyes closed. Her instincts told her that it was very dangerous. "Crane deity, go and eat her." Hua Piao Miao's face was pale and her voice was weak. With her current strength, it was impossible for her to summon the crane deity. However, she had already lost her mind. As long as she could kill Sima Yue, she didn't care even if she suffered a backlash. That crane deity raised its head and looked high and mighty. Although it wasn't willing to listen to her, it still moved its wings. Just a slight movement and a strong gust of wind appeared on the arena. That gust of wind contained a huge force and blew towards Sima Yue. Sima Yue instinctively put her hands in front of her, trying to block the wind. However, the wind was too strong and she felt pain all over her body. Spatial lock. She had sealed the surrounding space. Now, no matter how strong the wind was, it wouldn't touch her body. Spatial lock. The teacher on the rostrum shouted. The people on the spectator stand also felt the power of the wind. However, because of the barrier around the arena, the wind wasn't strong. They saw that Sima Yue couldn't open her eyes because of the wind, but suddenly, it seemed like she couldn't be touched. Just as they were curious, they heard the teacher on the rostrum shout out spatial lock. Only then did they know the reason. Spatial lock? Isn't it only an array master who knows how to use it? She's also an array master. Definitely, or else she wouldn't use this move. You guys are wrong. Spatial lock is only an array master, but it doesn't mean that all array masters know this move. This also depends on talent. Isn't she an alchemist? How did she become an array master? You must have been shocked, silly. Of course she's an alchemist and an array master. F***CK Fire, Metal and Lightning Tri-Attribute Spirit Master. She's also an array master and an alchemist. Is this something a normal person can do? No. Someone shook his head. Yes. This is something only a pervert can do. And she is simply a demon. Piaf! Fatty Chu laughed unkindly when he heard this. Is she a pervert or a demon? He laughed. Which do you guys think you would like to be called? You can go and ask. Wei Ziqi said. No, she'll definitely beat me up. Fatty Chu rejected decisively. These fellows wanted him to be cannon fodder. He wouldn't go. Let's continue watching the competition. Bei Gongtang said. That thing, I keep feeling that it's a little dangerous. That unperturbed mirage beast was definitely not something easy to deal with. She glanced at Mao Sanquan and the others. They didn't let the teacher stop the competition. She didn't know if they were sure that nothing would happen. However, Yue had so many tricks up her sleeves. She should be able to deal with it. Only then did the so-called divine crane open its eyes a little. It let out a clear cry and lowered its proud head. It retracted its wings and the wind on the stage immediately stopped. You're also an array master. Hua Piao Miao reached out her hand to cover her chest. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. After forcefully summoning the divine crane for so long, she couldn't hold on any longer. If this news is true, then the other rumors about her must be true as well. F***CK this pervert. Hua Piao Miao knew that she was finished when Little Rock appeared. The bloodline in her body made her want to worship Little Rock when she saw him. The king of birds was originally sitting on the ground. She did not even have the strength to stand up now. No wonder Sima Yue said that she was unlucky. The bird race met the king of birds and went against its contracted master. Wasn't this seeking death? If she was not from the bird race, or if she did not have a contract with the golden-winged Great Peng, the outcome today would be uncertain. It was a pity that there were not so many ifs in the world. Little Rock looked at the divine crane. It was just an imprint left behind by an old bird, and it was still trying to act mysterious. You have guts, you actually dared to attack my contracted master. Little Rock released all of his aura, and even transferred some of his aura over from Crimson Flame, completely suppressing the old man. Before coming out, Qian said that this old fellow was very strong and had existed for a long time. If he only relied on his aura now, he would not be able to suppress him, so he borrowed some of his aura to suppress this old fellow. As expected, the old fellow was only stunned at the start, but only stopped his attack. He did not cower or feel fear. But after he released Qi Yan's aura, the other party was obviously afraid. His body started to tremble. Now he increased his strength and made the other party kneel down. Sima Yue poked her head out from behind Little Rock and said, "Don't cause so much trouble, let's settle this directly." Little Rock nodded and said to the Divine Crane, "Seeing that this is your first offense, I will not pursue your offense when we go back." The Divine Crane's eyes flashed with unwillingness, but Little Rock's aura made it unable to resist, let alone resist. "No, you can't give up." Hua Piao Miao shouted from behind, "You sucked my blood, you can't not listen to me, I will let you tear them apart." The Divine Crane's eyes flashed with struggle. Hua Piao Miao was different from it. She did not have a pure bloodline, Little Rock's aura did not affect her that much. But it was different. Hua Piao Miao could ignore Little Rock's aura but it could not. But it had a contract with her, a connection, it could not reject her words especially after she performed the blood sacrifice. To get her order it had to do it. Even if it was afraid it could only bite the bullet. Overestimating yourself. Little Rock saw that it was still attacking them, he waved his hand and a majestic force attacked it. The Divine Crane was originally very powerful, although Hua Piao Miao could not give it too much power, it was enough to deal with everyone present. But now with Little Rock's aura suppressing it, its strength was reduced by more than half. Little Rock added a bit of Qi Yan's aura when he attacked. With just one move, the swaying Divine Crane was completely defeated. Pooh! The Divine Crane disappeared, Hua Piao Miao spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. At this moment, her berserk bloodline finally calmed down, and her berserk body returned to its human form. However, her clothes were already torn and could no longer cover her entire body. The referee waited for a minute, but she still did not move, then announced, "This competition, Sima Yue wins." Mao Sanquan asked the referee to take her down, then said to Fan Lei, "Principal Fan, I'll have to trouble you again." Fan Lei glared at Mao Sanquan unhappily saying, "Go yourself. You always call me. I don't have that ability." Mao Sanquan said, "I didn't expect her to be from the Thousand Crane clan. Her body is in a terrible state because of the backlash. If we don't save her, there will be a lot of trouble in the future. Those people might even direct their anger to Yue." Su Jin knew. "Alright, I'll go, don't mention that Su Jin fellow. I'll take her away whether she can be cured or not, I don't care." Fan Lei finished speaking and left with his people. Chapter 882. After Fan Lei and Hua Piao Miao left, the hosting teacher went up the stage and said, "Everyone quiet down." The people in the stands were in an uproar because of this final result. Not only was the outcome out of everyone's expectations, they were also deeply shocked by Sima Yue's strength and were discussing excitedly. Hearing the teacher's words, they quieted down. The hosting teacher looked around and said, "Next up is the competition for the 6th to 10th place. You guys come up and draw lots." When Sima Yue returned to the resting area, Wang Ximiao and Mo Bin were still in shock. Seeing her come over, he opened his mouth to say something, but in the end, he just congratulated her. Little Seven pounced over and happily said, You're so amazing. Teach that bastard a good lesson. It's a pity that you only managed to burn the hair on her legs and not all of her body." Sima Yue smiled and patted her head. "Alright, sit down and watch the rest of the competition." She held Little Seven's hand and sat down beside Mo Bin. Everyone chatted and laughed as they watched the next two matches. Tang Yin was very lucky. He drew a blank and did not need to go on stage today. Yifeng was defeated by his opponent, so he could only fight for 9th and 10th place. Although these competitions were still exciting, after watching Yu's competition and then watching them again, it became a little dull and boring. Sima Yue realized that everyone was watching her when she was watching the competition, so she left with Little Seven after watching Yifeng's competition. On the second day, the first match was between Sima Yue and Wang Ximiao. The second match was between the winner and Little Seven. Wang Ximiao was very strong. His combat power was even higher than Hua Piao Miao. However, he still lost to Sima Yue in the end. Wang Ximiao finally said, "I know you haven't used your full strength, but I hope to catch up to you. I can still fight with you in the future." After the referee announced the results, the two of them prepared to leave the stage. Little Seven suddenly flew up and said, "Wait, let's fight this round too." Everyone was stunned. Wang Ximiao was the first to react and got off the stage. The referee looked at Little Seven and said, "Student Sima has just gone through a battle. If you continue now, as long as Yu agrees. Lil 7 looked at Sima Yue. Will you agree? Sima Yue did not know what little 7 was up to. Seeing her wink at her, she nodded and said, sure. Anyway, he couldn't beat her, so it didn't matter if he recovered his strength or not. Look, she agreed. Little 7 said to the judge. Since both sides have agreed, let's begin. The referee retreated to the side. Sima Yue looked at little 7. Although she was curious about little 7's strength, she knew that she was no match for it. Just as she was about to give up, she heard little 7 speak. I admit defeat. Little 7 announced loudly. What? I admit defeat. Little 7 said. Little 7. Sima Yue frowned. Little 7 winked at Sima Yue and said to the referee, I admit defeat, you can announce the result. Little 7, your strength? There's no rule that says that the stronger one can't admit defeat, right? It seemed like there wasn't such a rule. Little 7, what are you doing? Sima Yue frowned. You'll find out later. Little 7 winked at her. Since Little 7 has admitted defeat, Sima Yue wins the match. The referee announced. With this announcement, Sima Yue became the number 1 on the billboard. Needless to say, Little 7 was definitely number 2 and Wang Ximiao was number 3. Sima Yue did not care about the titles, but she still felt uncomfortable with Little 7 giving up her number 1 position. Yu, do you know that after the competition, there will be a challenge period of half a year? Challenge period? What's that? There's a limit to the rankings, so those students can challenge those in front of them. If they win, you'll be able to take their place. Little 7 explained, you've shone brightly this year, so many people will definitely challenge you. Even if they lose, they'll have to try. That's why you'll be annoyed later on. That way you won't have time to research Shi Shuang's antidote. If I'm behind you, those people won't dare to challenge you and you'll have peace. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed, so she didn't bother about the number 1 position. After her competition, she went back into the Spirit Pagoda to continue her research. When the competition was about to end, she successfully developed the antidote. Mo Sha saw that she actually managed to develop the antidote and he was a little surprised. It seemed like she was a little more powerful than he thought. Sima Yue took the antidote to Memory Restaurant, where Shi Qianji was anxiously waiting for her. Seeing her appear, his hanging heart was half relieved. You've developed the antidote? Sima Yue nodded, saying, although the antidote is a success to cure her, we still need supplementary treatment. Also, there's something I want to tell you guys in advance. What? Shi Qianji and Shi Shuang looked at her, afraid to hear anything bad. Half a month had passed, and Shi Shuang had returned to her previous state. After the antidote, her body can't change back anymore. Sima Yue said. Can't change back? She can only look like this in the future? Shi Qianji asked. Probably not. Sima Yue said, although the poison made her body smaller, it didn't completely destroy it. I can't be sure if it will grow again. What I can be sure of is that she can only look like this now. Shi Qianji looked at Shi Shuang's pained expression and said, if she can't return, then so be it. Let's get rid of the poison first. Alright then, you can wait outside. Make sure no one interrupts me halfway. If I'm interrupted, I can't guarantee her life. Sima Yue said. Don't worry, no one will disturb you. Shi Qianji said, little junior sister, I'll go out first. Don't worry, you'll be fine soon. Jianghu Xian, that brat, said that he wouldn't do anything he wasn't confident in. Shi Shuang nodded before he left. Little 7, guard the door. Don't let anyone in. The moment Sima Yue finished her words, Little 7 formed a barrier around the house and looked at her. Sima Yue was speechless. She didn't want her to see such a disgusting scene, so she found such an excuse. This brat was really? Then don't be scared later. Little 7 nodded. She had seen the world. Don't always think of her as a child. Sima Yue turned to Shi Shuang and said, before the treatment, you have to promise me one thing. Say it. Shi Shuang's voice was weak. You can't tell anyone about the antidote, especially my identity. Sima Yue's expression was serious. Her identity? Would the antidote expose her identity? What was her identity? She was confused but still said, all right. I swear, I won't tell anyone about the antidote today. Remember, after reading, it's convenient for the next time, or... Chapter 883. After Shi Shuang swore, Sima Yue continued, your flesh has already rotted. You are only alive because of the spiritual energy in your body. As she spoke, Shirqiu Shuang moved her body in embarrassment, and more pus and blood flowed out. Pus and blood flowed onto the bedsheets. It was a disgusting sight. Don't move, Sima Yue said. It looks disgusting now, but it will be fine after the treatment. You're poisoned, so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Shirqiu Shuang felt much better when she saw that Sima Yue did not care about her at all. Later, I will cut off all the flesh on your body. Sima Yue continued, during this process I'll anesthetize you so that you won't feel any pain. However, you have to relax mentally. I understand. Shirqiu Shuang said. Cough cough. Because I have to cut off all the flesh on your body, I will touch some parts of your body that shouldn't be touched. But we're all women, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Sima Yue said. You're a woman. Shirqiu Shuang looked at her in surprise. Sima Yue turned the illusion ring so that Shirqiu Shuang could see her appearance. If she didn't want to touch something she shouldn't, she wouldn't have revealed her identity. For some reason, I had to disguise myself as a man. So please keep it a secret for me. Sima Yue said. Don't worry, I made an oath. Shirqiu Shuang finally understood why he made her swear. Thank you. Sima Yue said, the whole process will be painful, but as long as you believe in me we will definitely make it to the end. I believe you. Although your age is too unbelievable. Shirqiu Shuang said. All right. Sima Yue liked this trust. Leave the rest to me. Yes. Then let's get ready to begin. Sima Yue took out a huge metal bucket. She had asked Fatty to make it for Shirqiu Shuang. She put a lot of herbs inside, added some water and asked little Seven to boil it. Then she gave Shirqiu Shuang a pill and took out a set of knives. Each knife was emitting a cold light and looked extremely sharp. Shirqiu Shuang watched as she picked up a small knife. The blade reflected her current appearance. It was terrifying. If she saw it, she would probably vomit out the food she had eaten last time. Therefore, she was grateful for Sima Yue's attitude towards her. Sima Yue waited for the drug to take effect before coming to her side and saying, I'm going to do it. She took out a metal bucket and placed it beside the bed. She threw the sliced rotten meat into the bucket and filled it to the brim. By the time everything was done, more than half a day had passed, and there was only a pile of bones left on the bed. I'll use my spiritual energy to protect your heart. You'll be fine. Sima Yue said, I'll detoxify you now. Shirqiu Shuang couldn't move or speak now, so she could only blink at her. This process will be a little painful. You have to hold on. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she took out the pill she had made and fed it to her. Then, she carried her and placed her into the metal bucket so that little Seven didn't need to add more fire. Intense pain spread throughout her body. The pill she had just eaten was no longer effective. Shirqiu Shuang was in so much pain that her entire body was trembling, but she didn't scream. Shi Qianji seemed to have sensed something from outside. He ran to the door a few times wanting to enter, but was blocked by little Seven's enchantment. Sima Yue was observing Shirqiu Shuang's condition. Seeing that it was under control, she sensed the movement outside and said to little Seven, let him in. Shi Qianji immediately sensed it when the enchantment was removed. He pushed the door open and saw Shirqiu Shuang in the metal bucket. Little junior sister. He ran over and held onto the metal bucket, but his hands were scalded by the temperature. She's fine. Sima Yue said, but if you don't take your hands back you'll be in trouble. Shi Qianji took his hands back. His palms were already badly mutilated. Are you stupid? This metal bucket is so hot. Why don't you just stick yourself to it? Little Seven looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. Shi Qianji then felt the pain. He quickly took out an ointment and applied it. In a few minutes his hands were as good as new. The effect was not bad. Sima Yue glanced at him and continued to focus on Shirqiu Shuang. She looks very uncomfortable. Shi Qianji said with heartache, is there no way to ease her pain? Oh. Sima Yue said, her blood and flesh have to be changed. You are a poison master, so you should know what this process is like. Shi Qianji didn't say anything. He understood the process too well. Back then he had personally seen how Jiang Junxian endured it. That was why he approved of him. He didn't expect that the same thing would happen to his favorite little junior sister. After a while, Sima Yue took out a golden snake fruit. She directly refined it into medicinal juice and put it in the water. Golden snake fruit. Shi Qianji saw the golden snake fruit and was extremely surprised. Sima Yue ignored him. Because now was the time to add the medicinal ingredients, she continuously refined the medicinal ingredients and put them in the metal tube. She didn't have time to care about him. Timeshare Qianji looked at the medicinal ingredients that Sima Yue took out. They were all rare, extinct, old and hard to find. Just the things that she put in the last half an hour were worth at least tens of millions of crystals. Seeing her put in the medicinal ingredients without blinking, his first thought was, how interesting. His second thought was, she was really rich. His third thought was, how much would he ask for from them? But no matter how much they paid, as long as they could cure little junior sister, they were willing. One of the reasons why Sima Yue let him in was to let him see how much she had spent. This way, he would understand how difficult it was to cure his little junior sister. With the antidote inside and so many medicinal ingredients on the outside, Shiqiu Shuang felt that her body was going through an earth-shattering change. From being weak and nauseous, she was now feeling light and full of energy. Bit by bit, she felt the changes in her body. It was as if she had gone from hell to heaven. The world was no longer dark and she could once again see the light. And she could regain all of this thanks to the person beside her. To be honest, Shiqiu Shuang's hands were stained with blood. She wasn't a good person. But at this moment she felt that she had been reborn. Maybe in the future she would still be cruel and merciless. But she would treat Yue with the most sincere heart. Later on, Sima Yue put in a few more medicinal ingredients. After Shiqiu Shuang absorbed all of them, her nipples had completely grown out. Take a look. Sima Yue took out a mirror and placed it in front of her. The skin that was exposed above the water surface was so tender that it looked like it could be broken with a flick of a finger. It was as tender as a newborn baby. There was no longer the rot and stench from before. The ugliness that was covered in pus and blood was no longer there. Now, in front of everyone, there was a brand new her. She touched her face and couldn't help but cry. Chapter 884. Sima Yue asked Shi Qianji to leave and carried Shiqiu Shuang out of the metal bucket. The bed had already been changed into a clean bedding, and Shiqiu Shuang was placed on it. She looked very small. Sima Yue took out little Seven's clothes and helped her put them on. She was so weak now that Sima Yue had to help her put on her clothes. Since she grew up, no one had ever treated her like this. Even the once cold-blooded killer couldn't help but blush. These are little Seven's clothes. They're a little small for you, so just bear with them for now. I'll get your senior brother to buy you a few more sets later. After putting it on, Sima Yue said, it's normal that you can't exert any strength now. After all, you need to get used to the new flesh. I'll be fine in a few days. Yes. Also, you're a bit special during this period of time. Although your body is weak, it's also a good time to temper your body. The process of the medicinal bath is painful, but it can lay the foundation for your future. If you can bear it, you can try. Sima Yue said. I understand. Shiqiu Shuang said. Her throat had also recovered. Her voice was no longer as hoarse as before. Instead, it sounded a little childish. Your senior is a poison master, he should know how to make it for you. Just let him make the medicine for you. Sima Yue said. Can you help me? Shiqiu Shuang asked. What is it? Senior martial brother is a man after all. I don't have any strength now. When the time comes, you can find a maid. I'm not used to people getting close to me. I've never used a maid before. Shiqiu Shuang said. There were indeed people who didn't like this, so she wasn't too surprised. Alright then, I can help you. Sima Yue said, it just so happens that the school competition is about to end, I have time. I won't be able to do it after the competition. What? I have something to do. I will leave this place. Sima Yue said, but don't worry, you will have recovered by then. Maybe you will leave before me. Thank you, Yue. Can I call you Yue? Sure, isn't it just a name? Sima Yue didn't care. Shiqiu Shuang smiled faintly, you can call me Qiu Shuang. Qiu Shuang, Sima Yue called out. Yue, I know that you used a lot of precious herbs to detoxify me. I will let the sect reward you. Shiqiu Shuang said. Although she was tempted, Sima Yue still said honestly, I have an agreement with your sect. I know about that agreement. Shiqiu Shuang glanced at little Seven. Although the eye of the earth is very precious, but since we have already agreed, we will not go back on our words. Although we are an assassin organization, we are still moral. Let's go alone. Sima Yue said. When a sect grows big, there will definitely be some bugs. Shiqiu Shuang didn't deny it. However, only the higher-ups know about little Seven. They can still control it. I will believe you for the time being. Sima Yue said. As for the reward, I will not say for now. You will know in the future. Shi Shuang didn't mind her saying this. Also, I have something that I need your help with. What can I help you with? Sima Yue blinked. I think that you should have a very good medicinal bath formula in your hands. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows and didn't say anything. She waited for her to continue. I want you to compare it with my seniors and choose a better one. Shi Shuang said, I want it to be stronger. You have a sharp gaze and hatred in your eyes. You want revenge. For the Devil's Cave incident. Sima Yue said confidently. Shi Shuang was silent for a while before nodding her head. However, she didn't intend to say much. She didn't like to get to the bottom of things that others didn't want to talk about. She didn't continue asking and continued talking about what happened just now. Why do you think that I have the medicinal bath formula? You didn't stop talking about the medicinal bath just now. It means that you are very familiar with it. Shi Shuang said, you used so many good herbs to cure my poison. I believe that your medicinal bath is also very good. You have the ability. If you can give me a better medicinal bath, I will definitely thank you in the future. I want to take a look at your senior's medicinal bath formula first. Sima Yue said, if his formula is better than mine, then there is no need to use mine. Okay. Then I will ask him to come in. When Shi Qianji came in and heard what they were discussing, he was a little troubled at first. After all, this formula was usually not leaked to outsiders. You don't have to tell me the exact formula. You just need to tell me the herbs you used. Sima Yue understood his concerns and said. Shi Qianji thanked Yue for her understanding. He told her the herbs he used but didn't tell her the exact dosage and order. How is it, Yue? Which one of you is better? Sima Yue said to Shi Qianji, the herbs you used and I used are mostly similar. Only a few of them are different. It is impolite not to reciprocate. Today I will tell you the formula I used. Sima Yue told him the types of herbs in her formula. Shi Qianji's eyes lit up as he listened. Your formula is indeed more unique than mine. He clapped his hands and praised, I will have to trouble you with little Junior's medicinal bath. We will prepare the herbs. Okay. Then I will come back tomorrow. Sima Yue agreed readily. It was best for them to prepare the herbs. Anyway, they only knew the names of the herbs and didn't know the process. It was useless. If Shi Qianji was really that good and she could figure it out based on the herbs, then there was nothing she could do. Wait. Shi Qianji stopped her and said, I will send you off. Little junior sister, I will be back soon. The three of them went out together and came to the courtyard. Shi Qianji said, can you tell me how you researched the antidote for little junior sister? I researched for decades and still couldn't figure it out. You only took 2 months to do it. Sima Yue glanced at him and said, it's a secret. I can't tell you. Shi Qianji was just trying his luck. He didn't think that she would really tell him. Sima Yue smiled and turned to walk out. How did she research it? Of course, she relied on her own blood. If she didn't use her blood to dilute Shi Shuang's blood, she wouldn't have been able to research the antidote. But she couldn't tell anyone about this method. Shi Qianji sent her to the entrance of Memory Restaurant. Sima Yue held Little Seven's hand and prepared to go back. She didn't expect to see a familiar face as soon as she came out. He was handsome and elegant. He casually leaned against a tree on the side of the street, attracting the attention of many girls. Seeing her come out, he smiled at her. His eyes were still filled with fatigue. He said, little junior brother, I am back. Chapter 885. Sima Yue did not expect him to suddenly appear in front of her. She was stunned. Senior brother, why are you here? Wu Lingyu walked over, pinched her little face and said with a smile, I heard that someone was inquiring about me and was worried about me, so I came. I missed you, so I came. This was something he didn't say out loud. Sima Yue recovered from the surprise and joy of seeing him suddenly. Hearing what he said, she did not refute him. Were you all right before? She had a feeling that something must have happened to him, and it wasn't as simple as being in seclusion. I'm fine. Wu Lingyu said with a smile. Seeing her concerned eyes, she smiled and said, even if something happened, it's fine now. When Sima Yue heard his words, she knew that he must have experienced something. No wonder he looked so tired. When did you arrive? Where are you staying now? I just arrived in the city. I haven't found a place yet. Then I'll stay here. Wu Lingyu shook his head and said, I want to stay with junior brother. Let's stay at your house. My house. Sima Yue wanted to say that there was no one in her house, but seeing how tired he was, it would be good to live in a quieter place. She nodded and said, "I'll take you there." It was only when Wu Lingyu reached home that she found out that Sima Lai and the others no longer lived here. She looked at Sima Yue, who was busy cleaning up a room for her. "Senior brother, I'm done." Sima Yue changed the bedsheets and turned to Wu Lingyu, who was leaning against the door, and said, "The bedsheets are all new. You can rest for a while." Wu Lingyu walked over. Yue thought he was going to lie on the bed for a while, but he stopped beside her and reached out to hug her. "You, I missed you so much. I thought I would never see you again." His tone was calm, but it was filled with deep longing and fear. Sima Yu put down the hand that she had just raised when she heard what he said. She let him hug her and buried her head in his neck. "You." She wanted to ask him what had happened, but she swallowed her words and reached out to hug him. Wu Lingyu's body shook. His tired eyes flashed with surprise and joy. "I'm sorry, senior brother. I wasn't by your side when you were in trouble." Yue said guiltily. Other than her family, he treated her the best. However, because of the knot in her heart when she was young, she forgave him, but she did not care much for him. Even if she felt that there was danger, it was only in hindsight. Moreover, she knew too little about his situation, so she didn't know how to find him when he was in trouble. The more she thought about it, the guiltier she felt. Wu Lingyu sensed her emotions and kissed her gently on the cheek. "You don't have to feel guilty," he whispered in her ear. "Being able to see you and hug you like this is my greatest satisfaction." Her change in attitude towards him made it worth it for him to come looking for her the moment he came out. Sima Yue felt her ears turning red. They were the same person, but why was half of his soul so domineering and the other half so gentle? "Well, you look very tired. Have a good rest." She changed the topic. She let him sleep in his room. Wu Lingyu's lips curled into a mischievous smile. He hugged her and spun around twice. The two of them fell onto the bed together. He hugged her from behind. "I see that you look tired too. Why don't we rest together?" "You." Sima Yue wanted to break free, but he grabbed her hands and placed them in front of her. She heard him murmur, "You don't move. Let me hug you for a while." Then she heard his heavy breathing. She was stunned. He fell asleep so quickly. She wanted to move his hands away, but he woke up with a slight movement and hugged her even tighter. "You don't move." He murmured and fell asleep again. After a few minutes she tried again, but the result was the same. As long as she wanted to leave, he would wake up, say a sentence and fall asleep again. She sighed in her heart and could only let him be. Her right hand was holding his left wrist. She wanted to take his pulse and see what was going on with him. After checking his pulse, she felt a ball of fire burning in her heart. Did he know how exhausted his body was? Did he know how much damage his divine sense had suffered? Didn't he know to rest and recover first? Of course he knew, but he didn't. Instead, he knew that she had asked for his news and knew that she was worried about him. Thus he rushed over without stopping. All for the sake of seeing her earlier. She was angry and distressed. She turned around and faced him. She took out a pill and gave it to him. Then she looked at his face in a daze. What did she do to deserve such loving treatment from him? She had used up a lot of mental energy to detoxify Shiqiu Shuang today. Now that she could relax, she felt tired and fell asleep in his arms. When she fell asleep, Wu Lingyu opened his eyes. His lips curled into a smile. He kissed her forehead before closing his eyes and going back to sleep. The two of them slept in each other's arms until noon the next day. When little Seven came to the courtyard, Sima Yue was already awake. She raised her head. The first thing she saw was his perfect chin. Then she saw his bright eyes. "Morning." His magnetic voice showed that he was in a good mood. "What time is it now?" The voice that just woke up was a little lazy. It had a different kind of charm. "No," Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue sat up immediately. They slept together for almost the entire day. How could she sleep so much? "Have you rested well?" Wu Lingyu supported his head with his left hand and looked at her with a smile. "Yes." Sima Yue nodded. At this moment he looked much more energetic. Thinking of the situation when she took his pulse yesterday, her anger rose again. "I took your pulse yesterday," she said. "Yes." He was not flustered. He reached out and played with her long hair. "Do you know what state your body is in?" She pulled her hair back angrily and scolded, "Your spiritual power is depleted and your mental strength is exhausted. You still don't know how to rest properly. Do you think you are made of iron? What is more important than your health?" Seeing him stare at her, she got even angrier and said, "Even if I was worried about you, I wouldn't have lost a piece of flesh if you came a few days later. I wanted to see you." Knowing that you looked for me, I couldn't sit still. Wu Lingyu said, "Don't be angry. I know my body's condition. I will only persevere if I can." Sima Yue turned her head angrily. Wu Lingyu saw that she was really angry. He got up and leaned over. He put his head on her shoulder and said, "I won't do it next time. You said something similar last time." Sima Yue said, "Last time? You were trapped for a year or two because you helped me find the book on erase. You said something similar at that time. You men can't be trusted," she complained. Chapter 886. Remember, Sogu, in 1 second. You can read it anytime. Mobile users please visit. "I won't do it again," Wu Lingyu said in a muffled voice. "Really?" Sima Yue pushed his head away and got off the bed. She turned around and glanced at him. "As if I'd believe you." Wu Lingyu smiled. In fact, he himself also felt that it was impossible. Whenever he thought of her, he couldn't think of himself. Sima Yue glared at him, tidied her clothes, opened the door and went out. Xiao Qi was watching the ants move in the courtyard. When she saw her coming out, she asked with a smile, "Yu, did you sleep well last night?" Sima Yue didn't think much of it at first, but she blushed when she heard her question. "Ahem, where did you go yesterday?" She changed the topic. Little Seven stood up and threw away the small wooden stick in her hand. She said with a naughty smile, "You saw your senior brother and forgot about me. I went to play by myself." "When did this little guy learn to be so bad? Then why are you here now?" "I'm here to remind you that we should go and give Shiqiu Shuang a medicinal bath." Little Seven said, "Seeing how excited you were yesterday, I was afraid that you would overwork yourself and forget." "Overwork? Overwork?" Sima Yue reached out to pinch her face. "Who taught you to spout nonsense?" "Hee, I'm not spouting nonsense." Little Seven pulled her face away from her hand. "When are we going to Shiqiu Shuang's place?" "Let's go now." Sima Yue said, "It'll be exactly 1 day if we go now. We can use the medicinal bath." "Where are you going?" Wu Lingyu came out of the house. Although he looked energetic, he still looked a little tired. "I have something to do and need to go out for a while. You can wait at home." "I want to go too," Wu Lingyu said. "What are you going to do?" Sima Yue rejected without hesitation. "You're so weak, you should rest well at home." "I'm much better now. Just let me follow you," Wu Lingyu said. "No, you have to recuperate at home." Sima Yue said, "You just said that you'll get better." "What? Are you going back on your words now?" "Alright, I can't go back on my words now. Otherwise she won't believe me in the future." "Then when will you be back?" "I'll be back tonight. I'm just going to give them a medicinal bath today." Sima Yue said, "Weren't you waiting for me outside Memory Restaurant? How could you not know what I was doing there?" "I knew you were there because of your aura. I don't know what you're doing inside." Wu Lingyu said, "And I just arrived. I heard you say that you were coming out, so I didn't go in." "So that was the case. It's quite late today. I'll tell you what I was doing when I get back." Sima Yue said. "Alright, I'll wait for you at home." "Yes, we even went there. Remember to take care of your body at home. I gave you a pill yesterday evening. It still has some effect now." "I know." Wu Lingyu smiled until his eyes turned into crescents. This girl, did she forget that she was also an alchemist? "Oh right, do you still have that golden snake fruit?" "Yes, do you want to use it?" "Yes, that little Qilin of mine is injured. It can heal faster with the golden snake fruit." Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue nodded. She plucked a golden snake fruit from her spirit pagoda and gave it to him. Then she left with Little Seven. When they arrived at Memory Restaurant, Shi Qianji was already waiting for her. "I've already found most of the herbs you wanted. However, there are some rare ones that I haven't found yet." Shi Qianji said, "See if you have the missing ones." Sima Yue didn't think that Shi Qianji would go and prepare the herbs. She only said it once yesterday and he remembered it. He even prepared most of the herbs. Just from this point he was still a good person. She checked the herbs and found that some of the rarer ones were indeed missing. However, they were all in the spirit pagoda. It wouldn't affect today's medicinal bath. She got people to move everything into Shiqiu Shuang's room and chased everyone out. "Shi Qianji, you go out too. Don't just stand here. You can go back and see the results." After saying that, she chased Shi Qianji out too. Shi Qianji was worried and glanced at Shiqiu Shuang. Shiqiu Shuang also chased him out. "Senior brother, don't worry. With Yue here there won't be any problems." Shi Qianji looked at her speechlessly. He secretly thought that she trusted this guy. However, since she chased him out, he could only go out too. The other preparations for the medicinal bath had already been done. Sima Yue only needed to put the herbs in according to a certain ratio. Then, during the medicinal bath, she would see if she wasn't used to it. From time to time, she would add in the refined herbs. After preparing the medicinal bath, Sima Yue came to the bedside and said to Shiqiu Shuang, "Let's begin." Then, she carried Shiqiu Shuang and placed her into the wooden tub. Using medicine to train your body will be more painful. You have to persevere, Sima Yue said as she placed her in. Shiqiu Shuang understood what Yue meant the moment she entered. It was too painful. Every part of her body was screaming. The pain was so deep that she wanted to give up on the medicinal bath immediately. Think about why you're doing this, Sima Yue reminded him. I won't give up. No matter how difficult or painful it is, I will persevere. Shiqiu Shuang gritted her teeth and said, I believe you, Sima Yue said. Shiqiu Shuang was in so much pain that her entire body was trembling. She looked at Sima Yue and asked, Have you used this medicinal bath before? Yes. At the beginning I used it once a day. Later on I used it once every 10 days. Now I use it once a month. Sima Yue said, If you know how to refine medicine, you can continue to persevere in the future. This is very effective for training your body. Okay. The dark green water slowly became clear. Sima Yue refined a lot of medicine while she was waiting. When the water was completely clear, she added the medicine that she had just refined. After repeating this 3 times, the medicinal bath was finally over. When Sima Yue returned home, the moon was already high in the sky. Wu Lingyu was absorbing the essence of the moon on the roof. He knew when she stepped into the house. He opened his eyes and waited for her to come in. When Sima Yue saw him sitting on the roof, she felt strange. When she saw him waving his hand, she flew up and sat beside him. Why are you sitting on the roof? Didn't I listen to you and focus on recuperating? Wu Lingyu said, You look much better today than you did yesterday. Yesterday I was detoxifying someone, so I spent some effort. Today I'm going to give her a medicinal bath. I don't need to do much. How are you feeling now? Let me check on you. As she spoke, she reached out to grab his wrist, but she was caught in his palm instead. Tags. Remember, Sogu, in 1 second. Read it anytime. Mobile users please visit Sogu's high-speed launch of Crazy Wife, Godly Dr. Wu Xiaojia's latest chapter. This chapter is 886. Chapter 886. If you think this chapter is good, please don't forget to recommend it to your QQ group and Weibo friends. Chapter 887. Stop fooling around, let me check for you, Sima Yue said after struggling for a while. I'm fine. You don't have to check. Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand and didn't want her to check her pulse. Are you afraid that I'll scold you? I checked your body last night. Your body is in a terrible state. Sima Yue stared at him angrily. Let me go. Give me your hand. Wu Lingyu could not dissuade her. She sighed and obediently let her take her pulse. Sima Yue gave him a thorough checkup and found that his condition was worse than yesterday. How did you get yourself into this state? She pulled back her hand and asked in distress. It's nothing much. Senior brother, Sima Yue interrupted him and said, Tell me about your injuries. I want to know. Wu Lingyu looked at her for a few seconds and said, Okay. Sima Yue sat upright and was ready to listen to him talk about what he had been through during this period of time. Who knew that this guy would summarize everything in just a few sentences? In his own words, after he went back the last time, he was called over by that old man from the Sage Pavilion. With the purpose of helping him cultivate his divine consciousness, he invaded his body with his own divine consciousness, attempting to take over his body. However, after being injured by him, that old thing found an excuse in the end, saying that his mental strength was too strong and blah blah blah. Although Wu Lingyu made it sound simple, Sima Yue could imagine how dangerous the situation was. Then you're not going back this time, right? I'm not going back for the time being. That old man was also heavily injured. He would probably have to go into seclusion for a period of time. As long as he doesn't come out, I'll be fine. For the time being, that means you still have to go back. Sima Yue frowned. You're already in this state, why do you still want to go back? Aren't you afraid that he'll really take over your body? I still have some unfinished business. Wu Lingyu said, This time he took advantage of the loophole because my soul is not complete. When my soul is complete, it won't be him eating me but me eating him. Then you should quickly fuse with Mo Sha. Mo Sha's condition has been better recently. He was willing to risk his life to do this, so how could she persuade him to give up? She could only let them merge as soon as possible so that he could be safer. Yes. Wu Lingyu also wanted to fuse as soon as possible. The situation last time was too dangerous, and it was only because that old man was too careless that he was able to escape. Otherwise, the outcome would have been difficult to predict. How long can you stay outside? 1 or 2 years, 3 or 5 years, I'm not sure. It depends on that old guy's situation. Wu Lingyu said, as long as he doesn't come out, I don't have to go back. Won't you be discovered if you come out for a long time? Just because I'm not here doesn't mean that the saint isn't here. As long as they can find the person they want to find, it doesn't matter. You found a substitute? Sima Yue was stunned. Yu is so smart, Wu Lingyu said with a smile. Let the substitute work for you. You can do whatever you want outside. Only then will I have time to accompany you. I don't need you to accompany me, Sima Yue said. Besides, you can't accompany me in the academy. But aren't you going out later? How did this guy know? Wherever Yu is, I'll be there. A certain someone said. Up to you. Sima Yue said, anyway, the next step of the plan is for you to fuse with Mo. It's better if you're by my side. When the devil world is ready, we can fuse. Then when are we leaving? When you've recovered. I'll also settle the things on hand while I'm at it. She still had to give Shiqiu Shuang 10 days of medicinal baths. Since she promised her, she couldn't leave halfway. Yu, I want to eat the food you cook. For the next few days, Yu stayed here and didn't return to the academy. Every day, she took half a day to go to Memory Restaurant to give Shiqiu Shuang a medicinal bath. The rest of the time was spent thinking of ways to nurse Wu Lingyu back to health. Although he was also an alchemist for his situation, a doctor obviously knew how to make him better. 10 days later, Shiqiu Shuang took off her clothes in front of Sima Yue and went into the wooden tub. The familiar pain instantly attacked her. She didn't feel as uncomfortable as before. At first, she wasn't used to being naked in front of others. After experiencing the first 2 to 3 days of weakness, Yue helped her undress and put on her clothes. She had completely let go in front of Yue. Today is the last time I'm going to give you a medicinal bath, Sima Yue said as she added the medicinal concoction. You're leaving? Shiqiu Shuang suddenly heard the news and was a little reluctant. She leaned on the side of the tub and looked at her. Yeah, I've already applied for a year's leave from the academy 2 days ago. Sima Yue used her leg to hook a chair at the side and sat down. The first round of medicinal baths is already over. You don't have to bathe every day anymore. I'll give you the formula for the medicinal bath later. You just have to follow my instructions and you'll be fine. Didn't you say that you won't give the formula to anyone? That's why I asked your senior for a large sum of money. Sima Yue smiled and said, although I don't know what you've been through, I think you must have a lot of faith since you're willing to endure such pain to take the medicinal bath. Since I can get a large sum of money and help you, I'm very willing to give you the formula. Thank you, Yue. Shiqiu Shuang said gratefully, I, Shiqiu Shuang, don't have many friends. You'll be my friend from now on. Chapter 888. When Sima Yue returned home, she saw an unfamiliar man sitting in the courtyard. Little Seven was dozing off in boredom. Long Ting, your new look is not bad. She walked over and reached out to touch his face. No human skin mask? Wu Lingyu enjoyed being ravaged by her. It's too easy to recognize a human skin mask. So you've changed your appearance? What happened? Yue let go of him and sat down. It's very simple. Wu Lingyu waved the ring on his finger. Fantasy ring? That's right. Wu Lingyu held her hand. Your fantasy ring can change your gender and aura, while mine can change my appearance and aura. Sima Yue slapped his hand away. It's good for you to change your appearance. It'll be more convenient for us to go out. Then let's go. Old Mao sent a message saying that 1 year is the limit. He wants you to return before then. Little Seven said. A year is a bit of a rush, but the fusion shouldn't be a problem. Sima Yue said, there's no time to lose, let's go. Wu Lingyu opened a spatial tunnel and brought Yue and Little Seven in. A few days later, the three of them arrived at a city near the Bloody Tunnel in the northern 6th state. When they arrived, she went straight to the small shop that Emosha had mentioned. Hello, what can I do for you? The shop assistant saw someone come in and greeted him. We have a lot of weapons from the Devil Realm here. If you use them, your combat power will increase by leaps and bounds. It's definitely a weapon that can sweep away those of the same level. Yue looked at the weapons in the shop. Some of them were from the demon world and some were from the human world. In a few cities near the Bloody Passage, there were indeed a few shops selling demon world weapons. These weapons were all taken out from the Bloody Passage. However, that was not the case for this shop. This shop was located in an area that was not bustling, and business was not good. Right now, there were only the three of them as customers. Sima Yue took out a carved devil's snare flower and said, "I want to see your manager." When the shop assistant saw the flower, her eyes became alert. "Who are you? Why are you looking for our shopkeeper?" "No, not your shopkeeper. I want to see your manager." Sima Yue played with the flowers in her hand. "Since I'm here with the flowers, I'm naturally the one you're waiting for." She threw the flowers to the clerk and said, "Either take me there or tell him to come out." The clerk caught the flowers and said, "Wait here." After saying that, he turned around and went to the back courtyard. The three of them walked around the shop, but before they could take a good look at the demonic weapons, a gust of wind blew in front of them from behind. "Ha, I knew it was you as soon as I saw that flower. Wuxia, why are you here?" Sima Yue did not expect the person in charge to be him. How did he come to the human realm? Yes, it's me. Are you surprised?" Wuxia asked with a smile. At this moment he looked almost the same as when he was a guard in the Bloody Passage. He looked like a human. "It's very surprising." Sima Yue nodded. "I thought that the manager of this place would be a mature and steady person." Hey, you can't insult me like this." Wuxia protested. Wasn't she implying that he was not mature and steady? "I'm speaking the truth. If this place was discovered by humans, there would be a lot of trouble. At the very least, we should find someone who knows how to deal with things here. As for you, you're still far from that standard." In order to correct the credibility of her words, she nodded very seriously. "I'm also mature and steady. I know how to deal with things, okay. Back then, I mingled with you humans for a few years." Wuxia said unhappily. "How can being someone's guard be the same as being the manager here?" Sima Yue said. "We've known each other for a period of time. Do you have to insult me the moment we meet?" "I'm very vengeful. Who told you to kidnap me back then?" Yue Gongzi is right. When will you become more mature and steady?" Hua Jing walked over from the backyard. When he saw Sima Yue, he went forward and bowed. "We've been waiting for you here for a long time." Sima Yue nodded at him. "Let's find a safe and private place to talk. Please follow me." Hua Jing and Hua Xiu brought the three of them into the backyard. Sima Yue casually set up a barrier and Mo Sha came out from the devil's snare bracelet. "Greetings, my king." Hua Xiu and Hua Jing knelt down. "Rise." Mo Sha waved his hand, revealing his kingly aura. When Little Seven saw Mo Sha, her eyes widened. You have a devil king by your side. How come I never knew? It's too cool." She grabbed Yue's arm and looked at Mo Sha excitedly. "Don't you know what we're here for? I know you're going to do some soul fusion, but I didn't know it was a devil king." Mo Sha glanced at Little Seven, and she immediately quieted down. "What orders does my king have today?" Hua Jing asked. "What about the things I asked you to prepare last time?" Mo Sha asked. "We're almost done. We brought some with us when we came over and some more arrived yesterday. However, there are still a few things that we haven't found yet." Hua Jing replied. "Let me see the things." Hua Jing took out the things they prepared and Mo Sha checked them one by one. Their speed was faster than he expected. It seemed like they had put in a lot of effort. "We have some clues about the remaining things. We're working hard to find them now. In another 1 or 2 years? No need." Mo Sha interrupted him. "Inform them that I'm going to do a soul fusion. But we haven't found everything yet. If we fuse now, won't there be any risks?" Wuxia asked. Mo Sha didn't want to answer, but seeing Sima Yue looking at him worriedly, he said, "The last few things are to strengthen my soul power. I asked you to search for them before because my soul power was weak. Previously, after fusing with Zhonglan's soul, my soul is different from before, so I don't need those things anymore." "Then I'll inform the family head now," Hua Jing said excitedly. Seeing Mo Sha nod, he turned and left. "Then are we going to the devil world?" Little Seven asked Yue. She hadn't been to the devil world yet, so it wouldn't be bad if she could. Sima Yue didn't know either, so she looked at Mo Sha questioningly. "No, we'll fuse in the human world. Our bodies are from the human world, so it's safer here," Mo Sha said. "And the fusing won't attract the attention of those people. They couldn't go?" Little Seven felt like she was happy for nothing. As for Sima Yu, she noticed Mo Sha's last sentence. Those people? Chapter 889. The Devil Realm was very efficient. After Sima Yue and the others stayed for a few days, the patriarchs of the Hua clan and the Black Jade clan arrived. Greetings, my king. Even the clan leader knelt down when he saw Mo Sha, giving him the highest greeting in the Devil Realm. Get up. Mo Sha said, You know everything? Yes, we are ready. We only need to wait for the king to cancel the contract. Then we can proceed with the fusion. The Chinese patriarch said. Let's confirm it again. 10 days later we'll begin the fusion. Mo Sha said. Another 10 days? Wasn't this the perfect time? The two patriarchs walked out of the house and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. How did the king, patriarch, what's wrong? Hua Jing and Hua Xiu were waiting outside. Seeing the two of them come out with furrowed brows, they asked. We've already done all the preparations, but the king said that the fusion will only begin in 10 days. I don't know why. Hua Di, the patriarch of the Chinese clan, said. This is very simple. Hua Xiu said. You know? The king must be unwilling to cut off contact with young master. Hua Xiu said. Can't bear to? Young master is a girl and the king likes her. He doesn't want to break all ties with her, so he can't bear to part with her. Hua Xiu said. After fusing we can still be together. Hua Jing said. That's not the same. Hua Xiu said. You haven't been in the human realm for as long as I have, so you don't know about feelings. Although king would still be able to meet young master after fusing, there would be no contract connection. The contract allows them to feel each other's intentions. Aha, it's normal for king to be reluctant. Hearing him say this, the few of them finally understood. They sighed in their hearts, shook their heads and left. Since they had to wait for another 10 days, they should confirm the preparations again. In another courtyard, Sima Yue was chatting with Little Seven. Suddenly she felt that someone had entered. Just as Little Seven wanted to catch the person, she was stopped by Sima Yue. An acquaintance. Sima Yue said to Little Seven. Then she said to the door of the courtyard, Ba Jiazi, why aren't you coming in? Why are you hiding outside? Ba Jiazi, who was feeling conflicted outside, heard Sima Yue's words. She walked in and said, Why are your senses so sensitive? I've only just arrived and you've already felt it. Sima Yue smiled and said, You're already at the door, why aren't you coming in? Ba Jiazi glanced at Little Seven and said, Didn't I see that you have a guest here? This is Little Seven, she's my friend. Sima Yue said, This is Ba Jiazi, she's a friend I met in the Devil Realm. The princess of the Black Jade race. The two of them nodded and greeted each other. Sima Yue took out a chair and gestured for Ba Jiazi to sit down. Did you follow your grandfather here? She asked. Yes. Ba Jiazi sat down and picked up the snacks she put aside to eat. Grandpa didn't want me to come at first, but he couldn't stand my coaxing and pestering, so he brought me here. This is my first time in the human world. Just like what they said, the resources in your mortal realm are so abundant that I'm dazzled. Grandpa actually didn't want to bring me to such a good place. Your grandfather is also worried about your safety. Sima Yue said, If people find out that you're from the Devil Realm, I'm afraid that the entire clan will hunt you down. You humans reject our Devil Clan. Ba Jiazi said. Don't you Devil Clan reject humans as well? Sima Yue said, This is a problem that's been left behind for a long time. The Devil Clan and the Devil Realm can't accept each other. How good would it be if they were all like you? Ba Jiazi pouted. My situation is a little special. Sima Yue said, If it wasn't for Mo Sha in the beginning, I probably wouldn't be able to accept people from the Devil Clan. That's true. Ba Jiazi sighed. If it wasn't for the king, we probably wouldn't be able to accept you guys either. So hostility was innate. Sima Yue smiled. If humans and Devil Clan and Ghost Clan could be reconciled so easily, the blood tunnel wouldn't have existed for hundreds of thousands of years. Right, I heard that you want to break the contract with the king? Ba Jiazi asked. If I don't break the contract, he won't be able to fuse with my senior brother. Sima Yue said. Then will breaking the contract affect you in any way? Will you get hurt? It should. Sima Yue said, forcefully breaking the contract, the active party will be hurt. Mo Sha's soul fusion is also a very dangerous thing, so to ensure his soul power, only I can do it. However, I haven't experienced it before, so I don't know how big the damage will be. You don't worry. I will protect you. Little Seven said. It's all right. Nothing should happen. Sima Yue said, my contract with Mo Sha isn't the most important one. Even if there's damage, it shouldn't be too serious. If it's a life contract or a soul contract, these kinds of important contracts, then the damage will be greater. After speaking, she let out a long sigh of relief. After so many years, she had long gotten used to having him by her side teaching her life. No matter if he was asleep or awake, as long as she felt the connection between the contracts, she would feel more at ease. They had only known each other for a short while and they had already talked about breaking the contract. Now that they were really breaking the contract, she suddenly felt empty in her heart. After the fusion, she didn't know what he would be like. Wu Lingyu's body, half of each person's soul. She didn't know what it would be like after the fusion. Little Seven was also thinking about this problem. You say your senior brother is human, his body is also human? I don't know if the king will still have the characteristics of the devil clan after he fuses with him? Ba Jiazi was stunned. Say, if your senior brother doesn't have the characteristics of the devil clan, can he still be the devil clan's king? Little Seven continued. I don't think so. Sima Yue said. It's still possible. Little Seven said, look, your senior brother's body is human, he doesn't have the characteristics of the devil clan? This soul fusion is internal, maybe it won't affect the body? No, it can't be. Ba Jiazi's eyes widened. If the king wasn't of the devil clan but of the human race, what would they do? Worship a human as the devil king? That was too impossible. What Little Seven said, it can't be true, right? She looked at Sima Yue, wanting to get a negative answer from her eyes. I don't think so. Sima Yue wasn't sure about this either and said uncertainly, Mo Sha will definitely think of this. Since he went back to look for you guys, it means that he has already considered this problem. Ba Jiazi thought about it and agreed. If he was a human in the future, he definitely wouldn't look for them. Since he looked for them, this kind of situation shouldn't happen. Thinking of this, she slowly calmed down. Wuzhou Chinese Channel, Crazy Wife, Divine Dr. Fifth Miss, only represents the views of the author, Fan Gu Mu. If there is any content that violates the country's laws, please, we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green reading platform. Yes, thank you everyone. Now that we know that his soul has been contracted, I'm afraid. Then isn't Yue very dangerous? Ba Jiazi cried out. Now I have to go take a look. Hua Jing grabbed hold of her as she rushed out, saying, Yue Gongzi won't be in danger right now. If you rush over now and collide with Priest Ren and the king, the problem will be big. That's right. As long as Yue and king do not break the contract, her life will not be in danger. Hua Xiu said. Then it will be dangerous after the contract is broken, Ba Jiazi said. I have to warn Yue. You can't go now. Wait until Priest Ren is not here. Hua Jing said. Ba Jiazi thought about Hong Yuan's aura and nodded. Such a powerful person, it was better for her to avoid. I hope nothing will happen to Yue. She looked out the door worriedly, not knowing what would happen if Hong Yuan saw Sima Yue. Hua Jing and Hua Xiu also broke out in cold sweat for Sima Yue. Unexpectedly, when Hong Yuan saw Sima Yue, he did not immediately hurt her. You guys go out first. Hong Yuan said to the two people behind him. This is Priest Ren. Hua Di and Ba Langqi responded. When they left, Hua Di gave Sima Yue a look, but the time was short, so he didn't know if she understood. You guys go out too. Hong Yuan looked at Little Seven and Wu Lingyu. However, the two acted as if they didn't hear him and ignored him. Mo Sha came out of the devil snare bracelet. He first looked at Hong Yuan, then looked at Wu Lingyu and Little Seven, saying, You guys go out first. Don't. Little Seven pulled Sima Yue's hand. This person's eyes are filled with killing intent. He doesn't look like a good person. He might hurt you. I don't want to go out. Wu Lingyu didn't speak, but his motionless body showed his attitude. Mo Sha looked at Sima Yue. Sima Yue patted Little Seven's hand, saying, Mo Sha and I haven't broken the contract. Even if he wants to kill me, he doesn't dare to now. It's okay, you guys go out. Hong Yuan opened his eyes and looked at Sima Yue. She dared to say this in front of him, she had guts. Really? Little Seven said worriedly. Mo Sha is here. If I die, won't he die too? Sima Yue said, Go, follow senior brother to walk around the city. Senior brother. Wu Lingyu hesitated, saying, Since I'm one of the people involved, I want to stay. No matter how she said it wouldn't be dangerous, he wouldn't leave her alone. Hong Yuan didn't object. only looking at little Seven. Little Seven, be good. Go. Find Ba Jiazi to play. Sima Yue said. Okay then. Little Seven left unwillingly. Not far from the courtyard, she saw Ba Jiazi and the others waiting outside. Little Seven, what's the situation inside? Priest didn't hurt Yue, right? Ba Jiazi saw Little Seven come out and quickly waved at her. Little Seven walked over and stood in front of Hua Di, asking, what's that man's identity? Even you guys respect him so much. That's Priest. Aside from the Demon King, he has the highest reputation in the hearts of the demons. He follows the Demon King and offers sacrifices to heaven and earth, asking the Demon God to protect the people of the demon world. Hua Di said. I heard that the current Demon King isn't on the same side as you guys. This priest shouldn't be here to help the current Demon King kill Mo Sha, right? Little Seven said. He won't. Priest is loyal to the king, not to the people sitting in the palace. Ba Liangqi said. Little Seven pursed her lips. I saw the killing intent in his eyes. He wants to kill Yu. If he dares to make a move, we'll turn your demon world upside down. It's very quiet inside. I can't hear what they're saying. Hua Xiu said. If there's movement, it's scary. If there's no movement, it's scary. Ba Jiazi said, it's really worrying me to death. Alright, stay here. If you make a ruckus inside, even grandfather won't be able to protect you. Ba Liangqi glared at Ba Jiazi, and the latter immediately quieted down. In the courtyard, Yue, Wu Lingyu and Hong Yuan faced each other. Their gazes were like torches, secretly competing. No one spoke first. Chapter 891. The Battle of Gazes was a contest of mental fortitude. After a while, Hong Yuan retracted his gaze and nodded at Mo Sha. Hong Yuan greets my king. When he retracted his gaze, Sima Yue felt that the air around her was flowing again. His back was already drenched in sweat. What a powerful aura, she thought to herself. If he continued, he would most likely be defeated. Hong Ming's descendant, the current high priest. Yes. Hong Yuan said as he took off his bamboo hat, revealing his silver hair and silver eyes. Her silver hair shone dazzlingly under the sunlight, looking exceptionally soft. Silver eyes. When they looked at each other just now, she only felt as if her gaze had fallen into an ancient pool. She actually couldn't see the color of his eyes. Mo Sha looked at the silver hair and silver eyes and said with some nostalgia, there are many races in the devil world, but only your family can be so pure. Many thanks for my king's praise. Hong Yuan said. Back then your ancestor also said the same thing to me. Same words, same tone. Mo Sha said. If the ancestor knows that the king has returned, he will definitely be very happy. Hong Yuan said lightly. The next time we return to the devil world, we'll go visit him. Mo Sha said. Welcome back, my king. Hong Yuan said, King, as the supporters of the king, please accept me at your side. I know what you want to say. Mo Sha said, I once swore to the demon god that after the contract was broken, I wouldn't make things difficult for her, her family and friends. You can't do what you want to do. My king, how could you? Hong Yuan showed a surprised expression for the first time after coming in. Clearly he did not expect Mo Sha to do this. Sima Yue was at the side. When she heard Mo Sha's words, she recalled the time when he went to the devil realm and made a vow to reassure her. At that time she didn't think too much about it. Now, it seemed that he wasn't just trying to reassure her, he was also trying to make his former subordinates give up. They didn't want their king to have a stain on his life, so they would definitely kill him and everyone who knew about it. Now that she knew that he had made an oath to the demon god, she naturally did not dare to act rashly. Killing Yue was a small matter, but harming Mo Sha was a big matter. Although it was Wu Lingyu's body at that time, his soul was asleep, so he didn't know about the oath. He looked at Sima Yue's calm expression and thought to himself, no wonder she's so calm. It turns out that Mo Sha has already placed his life in her hands. Don't pursue Yue's matters in the future. Mo Sha said, my matters with her don't need you to interfere. Yes, king, Hong Yuan replied. However, the murderous look in his eyes when he looked at Sima Yue was still there. I don't want to explain to everyone. In the future, I'll leave this matter to you. Mo Sha said. He trusted Hong Yuan just like how he trusted Hong Ming back then. I, red name, swear to the devil god that I will only be loyal to my king. My descendants will only be loyal to the descendants of the king. Although hundreds of thousands of years had passed, The oath from that year was still in their ears and had never disappeared. Perhaps it was because of the oath that time, Red Name's descendants had been carrying on his legacy. They had been loyal to the Devil King for generations, always waiting for the Devil King to return. You have Red Name's aura on you. You received his inheritance. Emosha asked. Yes. Hong Yuan admitted. Since you're here, I'll leave the matter of the fusion to you. Emosha didn't continue to ask about Red Name. Perhaps he didn't need to ask as he could guess what happened next. Yue, give him the magic crystal stone you got last time. Emosha said. Sima Yue was stunned, then she remembered the huge magic crystal stone she got in Wenhai Little Realm. At that time, Emosha said that this thing could provide a large amount of magic power when he and senior brother fused. Didn't he keep it in the Devil's Snare bracelet? Why was he asking her to take it now? Luckily, the Devil's Snare bracelet was connected to her. With a thought, a huge magic crystal stone appeared in front of everyone. This is a magic crystal stone. Hong Yuan, who was used to seeing all kinds of treasures, was shocked by the size of this magic crystal stone. The biggest magic crystal stone recorded in the book was the one that King got before. It was the size of a human head. I didn't think that there would be a magic crystal stone twice as big. With this, we won't have to worry about not having enough magic power when fusing. There won't be any problems when King fuses with his soul. Sima Yue handed the magic crystal stone to Hong Yuan. I dug this out with great difficulty. You have to keep it well. Go and confirm with Hua Di and the others. Make sure that there won't be any other factors that will affect the fusion. Emosha said. Then Hong Yuan will take his leave first. Hong Yuan bowed to Emosha, then turned and left. Knowing that this treasure was obtained by Sima Yue, he didn't see her as an eyesore anymore. However, it was impossible for him to accept her. At most, his killing intent would weaken a little. Sima Yue watched the red figure leave. Thinking of the way she looked at her when she left, she somewhat understood why Emosha wanted her to take out the magic crystal. Hong Ming and I have different feelings, so I can't forcefully deal with his descendants. Emosha said. I know. Sima Yue said, I didn't say anything. As long as you don't really want my life, I won't touch your people. That Hong Yuan was indeed very strong. However, if she used all her strength, she might be able to take him down with her. Just the fact that she could attract lightning and the little vermilion bird was enough for her to sweep through the entire Devil Realm. Emosha also understood this point, so he was protecting Hong Yuan and not her. Emosha nodded and returned the Devil's Snare bracelet. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu and said sadly, Senior brother, no matter what you become after fusing with Emosha, you will always be my senior brother. Wu Lingyu raised his eyebrows. Why are you suddenly so sad? Sima Yue sighed and said, what happened just now made me realize that after fusing with you, you might become their Devil King and no longer the Holy Son of the Sage Pavilion. If the Divine Devil Valley doesn't accept you, you won't be one of them. However, no matter what, you will always be my senior brother. Wu Lingyu smiled and said, don't you want to build your own power? If the Devil Realm and the sect don't want me, then take me in. All right. Sima Yue nodded without hesitation. Then she saw his smile and felt that it was strange. Remember what you said today. You promised me that you will take me in. Wu Lingyu looked at her and smiled like a cat that had stolen a fish. He leaned in front of her and looked at her. In the future, I will be yours. Sima Yue felt a chill run down her spine. The sadness she felt just now was gone. She slapped his face away and regretted what she said just now. Chapter 892. When Hong Yuan went out, the people waiting outside immediately stood obediently, not daring to even breathe. Little Seven glared at him and quickly ran into the courtyard to check on Yue. When she ran past Hong Yuan, his eyes narrowed as he watched her run into the courtyard. Even when she disappeared, he did not retract his gaze. High Priest. Hua Di called out in a low voice. Hong Yuan retracted his gaze and said, you two come with me. These two naturally referred to the two clan leaders. Yes. The two clan leaders obediently followed Hong Yuan. Ba Jiazi gave her grandfather a sympathetic look, then, she quickly forgot about him and ran to find Sima Yue. Hua Xiu and Hua Jing also followed in. Wu Lingyu had already returned to the house, leaving only Sima Yue and Little Seven in the courtyard. Yue, are you okay? Ba Jiazi walked over and looked at Sima Yue worriedly. I'm fine. Sima Yue said. Really? Ba Jiazi did not believe it. I heard that this high priest has the strangest temper and hates humans. Now that he knows that you have a contract with the king, he really didn't do anything to you? Look at me, does it look like he did anything to me? Sima Yue spread out her hands and shrugged. Looks like nothing really happened. Hua Xiu touched his chin with a puzzled expression. Logically speaking, even if he didn't kill you, he would let you live comfortably. Why did he leave without doing anything? Strange. Strange. Go to hell. Sima Yue slapped him. You won't give up until you see me hurt. No, I wouldn't dare. I'm just curious. Hua Xiu quickly smiled apologetically. What a joke, this was the woman that the king liked. If he was hated by her and the king found out, he would not be able to live anymore. Yue, how did you make him let you go? Ba Jiazi asked curiously. I didn't do anything. Sima Yue said, and he didn't do anything to me. Why are all of you so nervous? That's because you don't know what kind of person Priest Ren is. Ba Jiazi said, if you know, you'll know why we were so worried before and so surprised now. All right. Sima Yue said, anyway, thank you for your concern. There's no need to thank me. Ba Jiazi grabbed her hand and said, although you're a human, we're still friends. Yes. On the other side, Hua Di and Ba Longqi followed Hong Yuan to the conference hall. King, have you prepared everything needed for the fusion? Hong Yuan sat down on the main seat, and the two patriarchs could only sit to the side. Replying to Priest Ren, it's ready. Hua Di said, but the energy is a little low. I've already sent people back to get some more crystal stones. No need. Hong Yuan said. Priestess, if there isn't enough energy, it might affect King's fusion. Ba Longqi reminded. That's right. Hua Di said, King delayed the fusion time, so we can go to the demon realm to get some more to ensure that nothing goes wrong. I said no need. Hong Yuan said, the matter of the magic power has been resolved. Resolved? Yes. Hong Yuan took out the magic crystal stone, and the two old fellows' eyes immediately lit up. They took 2 steps forward and danced with excitement. Such a big magic crystal stone. Priest Ren, where did you find it? It's 2 to 3 times bigger than what I knew before. Ba Longqi's eyes were almost glued to it. With this, we don't have to worry about not having enough energy during the fusion. Hua Di said, Priest Ren, such a big magic crystal, why wasn't there any movement before it was born? I wonder where it was dug out? I didn't find it. Hong Yuan said. You didn't find it? Yes. Hong Yuan kept the magic crystal and said, this was found by Sima Yue in a small realm. Yue young master found it? Ba Longqi was startled and then sighed, Yue young master is really King's lucky star. If not for her, King's soul would still be asleep and would have dissipated in his sleep. Now that we found such a big magic crystal, King's soul fusion will have such a great help. Hua Di looked at Hong Yuan frowning and gave Ba Longqi a look. Ba Longqi immediately stopped sighing and shut his mouth. However, unexpectedly, Hong Yuan didn't get angry at the two of them. He only said, since King has handed the preparation to you, you must personally check it several times. There can't be any mistakes. Do you understand? Yes, Priest Ren. Priest Ren, you came to the human realm. Is there no problem with the Demon King? You won't find anything there, right? Ba Longqi asked. I've already arranged it. Mo Lu won't suspect anything for the time being. Now let's check those things again. In the following days, everyone was very busy. Hua Jing and the others ran all over the place. Hua Di and the others were so busy that they were nowhere to be seen. Even Wu Lingyu and Mo Sha left together and didn't return for a few days. In the entire courtyard, only Sima Yue and Little Seven were free. Little Seven ran in front of Sima Yue and placed a flower on the book in front of her. What's wrong? Sima Yue closed the book and asked. Tomorrow is the day of their fusion. Aren't you worried? How can you still read the book? Little Seven asked. If we don't read, what can we do? Sima Yue retorted. We can go take a look and do whatever we can. We have to show it off. You're worried. Little Seven said. It's a pity that my worry is useless. We aren't the ones preparing for it. The fusion isn't between the two of us. So what we can do now is to wait and see. When the time comes tomorrow, we'll just cancel the contract. Sima Yue said, if we go and help now, we won't know anything about the Devil Realm. We'll just be more of a hindrance. There's no point in worrying. Why don't we just do our own things here? You're really open-minded. Sima Yue said, aren't you worried about your senior brother's safety? You two have slept on the same bed before. Nonsense. Sima Yue stretched out her hand and poked Little Seven's head. No matter what happens next, senior brother has to take this step. His soul is incomplete and will affect his life in the future. It will also give the old guy from the Sage Pavilion a chance to kill him. So senior brother has no choice. If he takes this step, he can still be reborn. If he doesn't, when Master asks about senior brother's situation, I really don't know how to tell him. This old man devil, ever since he said that he was going to find traces of Feng Ruyen, there had been no news of him at all. He didn't care what danger his two disciples were in or what they did. Sigh, what an incompetent master. Achoo! A certain old man who was thousands of miles away felt his nose itch. He stretched out his hand and rubbed it. He muttered who was scolding him again. Chapter 893. Book title, Chapter, I Don't Want You to Get Hurt for me. Author. Whether he was worried or not, this day still came. Mo Sha and Wu Lingyu didn't appear. Ba Jiazi and Hua Xiu came to find her and brought her to the secret room. Little Seven was worried and insisted on following him. However, when she reached the secret room, she was not allowed to enter. Only Yue Gongzi can go in. Hua Di said, Gongzi, King, Priest Ren and your Shixiang are already waiting inside. Please go in alone. Sima Yue let go of Little Seven's hand and entered the secret room. As soon as she entered, the door of the secret room closed, blocking the view of outsiders. The secret room was very dark. Suddenly, a flame lit up from the side of the secret room. A small yellow oil lamp emitted a weak light, cutting through the darkness. With the dim light, Sima Yue could see the situation in the secret chamber clearly. There were two huge stone platforms. Wu Lingyu sat cross-legged on the left platform with his eyes closed. Hong Yuan stood behind him, doing something to his body. Mo Sha sat to the side. When Yue looked over, he just happened to open his eyes. The two of them just stared at each other like that. Are you ready? Mo Sha asked. Yes. You will get hurt. Your injuries will heal. In the past, they had always wanted to cancel the contract as soon as possible. However, when it was time to cancel the contract, the two of them had nothing to say. Hong Yuan waved his hand and the secret room was filled with all kinds of things. There were medicinal herbs and the huge magic crystal she gave him. Since you're ready, let's begin. Hong Yuan looked at Sima Yue. Sima Yue nodded and was ready to break the contract. Mo Sha floated in front of her, stopping her actions. Hong Yuan frowned, not knowing what he wanted to do. Why are you still condensing your soul at this time? Sima Yue asked worriedly. Wouldn't that be a waste of soul power? Mo Sha reached out and hugged her, leaning over to kiss her on the lips. You knew you would get hurt, but you still did it without hesitation. But I don't want you to get hurt, he said against her lips. Yu was shocked. She knew what he was thinking and wanted to stop him. She didn't know what Mo Sha did to her, but her vision went black and she fainted. Mo Sha caught her slipping body and carried her to the stone platform on the left. His hands lingered on her face, reluctant to part with her. King? Hong Yuan looked at him disapprovingly. After making Yue unconscious, he planned to terminate the contract. If that was the case, wouldn't his soul be damaged? Once his soul power weakened, it would definitely affect the fusion. This king has already decided. Mo Sha raised his hand, stopping Hong Yuan's words. But Ben Wang is never willing to let her get hurt, let alone get hurt because of me. Mo Sha said, let's begin now. Hong Yuan could not dissuade him and looked at Sima Yue unwillingly. Mo Sha began to remove the contract, forcefully severing the contract. This caused him to be heavily injured. Hong Yuan hurried up and took out the prepared soul fluid. Mo Sha soaked in the soul fluid for a while. When the energy subsided, he said, let's start the fusion. For contracted souls, once the contract was broken, it was the best time to fuse. It was best to fuse immediately. This way the soul could fuse best and eliminate the traces left behind by the tearing of the soul. Sima Yue did not know how long she slept for. She only knew that she was dreaming again, but this time, it was Mo Sha and Wu Lingyu who treated her well. Suddenly the scene changed. She saw that the two souls were full of cracks. They both stared at her and told her that the fusion had failed. Their souls were broken and they would no longer exist in this world. She cried in her dream. She cried until her heart ached and tears kept falling. Mo Sha said, your strength is so low and the problem with your body hasn't been solved. You have to find a way to solve it yourself. Wu Lingyu said, Yu's senior brother won't be able to protect you in the future. You have to take care of yourself. Their souls cracked at the same time. Their final words were also broken. They said, "Yu, I love you, Emo Sha, senior brother?" She screamed. Her voice did not seem to be her own. She chased after the fragments, but could only watch as they dissipated in front of her eyes. Emo Sha, senior brother. Don't scatter, don't. On the stone platform she kept calling out their names. Tears kept falling from the corners of her eyes. Useless woman. Hong Yuan looked at her in disgust. Human women only knew how to cry. They were worse than the women of the devil realm. Although he was disgusted, he still had to wake her up. He tapped Yu's body. Her dream of not waking up no matter how hard she struggled was finally broken. Her eyes were misty. She looked at the wall above her head. She was still immersed in the sadness from before. After a few seconds she suddenly sat up. It was still the dim oil lamp. It was still the secret room, but the people were gone. Only Hong Yuan was still packing things. "Where are senior brothers?" she asked. Hong Yuan glanced in front of him. He did not speak and continued to pack. Sima Yue followed his gaze. There was a crystal bed by the wall. Wu Lingyu was lying on it. She did not know if he was dead or alive. She got down from the stone platform and ran over. Seeing that Wu Lingyu's body still had signs of life, her hanging heart was slightly relieved. "How is their fusion?" "Emo Shahi." She did not dare to ask, but she had to. It didn't succeed. Hong Yuan's words hit her to the bottom. Could it be it really failed? Hong Yuan looked at her pale face and continued, "But it didn't completely fail." "What do you mean?" Sima Yue looked back at him. Her eyes were full of tears, but there was hope. The soul fusion was very successful. It has merged into one. But what? In order to not let you get hurt, King took the initiative to cancel the contract. His soul was injured and his body changed. After the fusion, it was not compatible with his body. At present, we don't know when he will wake up. We are not sure what will happen after he wakes up. When Hong Yuan said this, a trace of regret flashed in his eyes. If only he had stopped King at that time, but with King's personality, would there be any use in persuading him? "I heard that you're a doctor, so you can stay here." He packed up everything, opened the door of the secret room and left without looking at her. Sima Yue did not care about his attitude towards her. Or rather, she did not see his dissatisfaction and disdain at all. In her eyes, there was only the person lying on the crystal bed. How could she see him? Breathing weakly was better than not breathing at all. An unstable soul was better than having no soul at all. What's more, the soul fusion was perfect. This was better than she imagined. Before she fainted, she understood his thoughts. She was worried that his injury would affect the fusion, so she had that nightmare. Fortunately, her dream did not come true. Although the situation was not good now, as long as he was alive, there was still hope. Gentleman's alliance. Chapter 894. Outside the secret chamber, everyone waited anxiously for 2 days before the door finally opened. In order to prevent magic from leaking out, they had set up a barrier in the secret room, completely sealing off the situation inside, so no one knew what was going on inside these 2 days. The door opened and only Hong Yuan walked out alone. Everyone's heart trembled. Failed. "Priest Dren, His Majesty. Where is Yu? Something went wrong with the fusion. King's soul has fused into one, but there's a problem with the fusion with the body. He's still in a coma." After Hong Yuan finished speaking, he walked past everyone and left. Little Seven ran in first. This fellow didn't say anything about Yu's situation. He wouldn't take the opportunity to take action, right? Everyone had doubts in their hearts. According to their understanding, everything was fine. Something like this shouldn't have happened. "Yu, are you okay?" Little Seven ran over and saw Wu Lingyu lying on the crystal bed. She grabbed Sima Yue's hand and asked. Sima Yue's face was still wet with tears. She wiped her tears and forced a smile. "I'm fine." "How can you be fine? If you want to cancel the contract, you will definitely be hurt." Seven didn't believe it. "I didn't cancel the contract," Sima Yue said. "Oh, could it be that he?" Little Seven looked at Wu Lingyu in surprise. Sima Yue nodded. "Emo Sha knocked me out and took the initiative to cancel the contract. His soul was damaged, so there was a deviation in the fusion." "Emo Sha he?" Little Seven was at a loss for words. She never thought that Emo Sha would actually take the initiative to cancel the contract. Hua Di and the others finally understood why the final result was so different. They had considered many factors, But they hadn't considered that Emo Shah would take the initiative to cancel the contract because he didn't want her to get hurt. Then how is King right now? Ba Jiazi was moved by Emo Shah's actions and looked at the person on the bed with adoration. That's right. How is he now? Little Seven asked. I haven't checked him yet. Sima Yue said, let me check him first. Then hurry up and check. Hua Xiu said. Sima Yue nodded and took his hand to check his pulse. How is it? Hua Xiu urged. As your priest said, their souls are fused very well and I can't feel anything different. However, the soul and body are not in sync, which is why he is unconscious now. Sima Yue said. Then can you save him? Asked Ba Jiazi. I can try, but there might not be any results. So you have a way. You can say so. Sima Yue said, I'll try using the silver needle technique with some pills. Little Seven had seen her silver needle technique before. Hearing her say this, she knew that she had a certain degree of confidence. She said, then quickly begin. Sima Yue looked at the others and said, don't be disturbed during the acupuncture treatment. Please leave for a while. Little Seven, stay here and assist me. Hua Di and Ba Langqi looked at each other, unable to come to a decision. It was Hua Jing who spoke up from the side. Clan leader, young Master Yue wouldn't harm the king. Then let's go outside and wait. Hua Di said. Everyone left. Ba Jiazi walked to the door of the secret room and suddenly stopped. She turned and asked, Yue, what attribute is the king now? Human or demon? When she said this, the secret room fell silent. Everyone looked at Yue. I can't say what attribute he is now, but he definitely won't disgrace the title of Demon King. Sima Yue said, he has the dark attribute in his body. Hearing her words, the Devil Clan member felt relieved and turned to leave. I don't know how to do it. Why did you keep me here? Little Seven asked. Yes. Sima Yue said, Little Seven, I want to ask you to save him. How do I save him? I need some of your essence, blood and fruit. Sima Yue said. Okay. How much? Little Seven asked. 2 drops of essence blood and half a kilogram of fruit. Little Seven bit her finger and squeezed 2 drops of essence blood into the bowl. Then she took out half a kilogram of fruit and placed it in a jade bowl that Yue took out. Thank you, Little Seven. Sima Yue said gratefully and guiltily. When she was with her, she didn't want her flesh. But now she wanted her to use her to save someone. We're together. Little Seven said, anyway, this is nothing to me. It's just a drop in the ocean. I still have to thank you. Sima Yue said. Hurry and save him. Little Seven said, on account of how well he treats you. Okay. I'll refine the pill first. Sima Yue took out the pill furnace to refine the pill. Other than putting in the eye of the earth's flesh, she also put in a lot of precious herbs. She especially put in a lot of soul fluid. This type of pill wasn't a normal pill with special effects. It was just specially refined to absorb the ingredients in the herbs. After refining the pill, she let Little Seven go out and prepared to insert the needles into Wu Lingyu. Little Seven gave her a naughty smile and winked at her. Then she ran out while giggling. Sima Yue was originally in a normal state of mind. However, after being teased by her, she felt a little embarrassed. It wasn't the first time she saw someone's body. But when she thought of stripping him naked, she felt a little awkward. The stupid girl. She must have been taught bad things by Little Roar in the Spirit Pagoda. She scolded jokingly. Then she took out the silver needles and prepared to insert the needles. She took 2 deep breaths and tried hard to calm herself down. After she calmed down, she began to remove his clothes. Removing his clothes and inserting needles. At this moment, she only treated him as her patient. 3 hours later, she used the last of her strength to put on his clothes. Then she sat on the ground. Little Seven, who had been waiting outside, heard the commotion inside and was the first to rush in. Ba Jiazi, Hua Xiu and the rest also ran in. Yue, how are you? Hua Xiu asked when he saw Sima Yue's pale face. I'm fine. Sima Yue leaned against the crystal bed with Little Seven's help. I just used too much mental strength. That's why I'm a little weak. When she was inserting the needles into Wu Lingyu, she used the highest level of skill that she could currently use. Not only did she insert every needle into his acupuncture points, she also had to channel her own spiritual energy into it. This allowed the spiritual energy to circulate throughout his body to achieve the best effect. With this kind of acupuncture, the effect of 1 time was equivalent to 10 times of normal acupuncture. The mental strength consumption was also much higher than normal. Her mental strength was relatively strong. If it was a normal person, they wouldn't even be able to use half of it and would be paralyzed. She took out the pill that she had just refined. Little Seven, let him eat this. Little Seven nodded and fed the pill to Wu Lingyu. If I don't wake up after a day, remember to wake me up. I have to do it again tomorrow. Yu's voice became softer and softer. In the end, she fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 895. Everyone was speechless when they saw the person leaning against the crystal bed and falling asleep. Ba Jiazi, carry Yue back. Hua Jing said. They didn't dare to touch the king's woman. Little Seven's body was too small, only Ba Jiazi was suitable. Carry her directly to the stone platform. Little Seven said, carry her back, she has to come back tomorrow. It's more convenient here. That works too. Hua Jing said. Ba Jiazi carried her to the stone platform. The four of them didn't dare to leave. One was unconscious and the other was unconscious. They had to stay behind to check on the two's condition. Sima Yu slept very deeply, but at the same time on the second day she woke up on her own. Yu, how was your rest? Little Seven came over and asked. Not bad. Sima Yu said, is senior brother awake? No. For the whole day there was no movement at all. Hua Jing said, but I can see that his condition is improving. This means that your treatment is still useful. That's good. Sima Yue came down from the stone platform and came to her side. She saw that Wu Lingyu's expression was indeed much better. She examined him and found that the compatibility between his body and soul had increased by quite a bit. After checking his condition, she felt much more at ease. He was afraid that there would be no effect. Since there was an effect now, there was a direction to continue working towards. You guys go out, I'll give him the acupuncture. She said to everyone. Everyone went out. When the sound came from inside again, they returned. This time Yue fainted faster. When they went in, they saw her lying on Wu Lingyu's body, unconscious. She didn't even put on her clothes. There was also a bottle of pills next to her. It seemed that she had prepared them before the acupuncture. Little Seven walked over and took out a pill for Wu Lingyu to eat. What do we do now? Hua Xiu asked. Hua Jing walked over and tied Wu Lingyu's belt, saying, let's do it like yesterday. Ba Jiazi carried Sima Yue onto the stone platform, and the four of them began to wait again. This time, Sima Yue did not ask her to wake up. Hence, a day passed and she did not wake up. Little Seven did not wake her up either. Another day passed and Yue was still in deep sleep. Little Seven, will Yue be okay? Ba Jiazi asked worriedly. I'm fine. She's just tired. Little Seven said, she'll be fine after she wakes up. Really, I've never seen her fainting from acupuncture before. He seems to be very tired. Ba Jiazi said, but the king's condition is indeed much better. Of course Yu is very capable. Little Seven said. At this time Hua Di and Ba Langqi came in from outside. Seeing the two sleeping men, they asked, how's the situation today? She hasn't woken up yet? For the past few days the two of them had been coming over every day to check on Wu Lingyu. Seeing that Sima Yue's acupuncture was effective, he hoped that she could cure him quickly. Grandpa. Clan leader. Hua Di and Ba Langqi came to the crystal bed. Seeing that Wu Lingyu's face was much rosier, they said, the king's condition today is much better than yesterday. If High Priest saw this, he wouldn't be so angry. Right, why hasn't High Priest come to see the king? Ba Jiazi said. High Priest went back to the demon world. Ba Langqi said. Went back. He went back to get the Black Snow Lotus. Black Snow Lotus? Isn't that Lu's treasure? It won't be easy for him to bring it to the human world to treat the king. Hua Jing said in surprise. The king's condition before was that he tried so hard to put his soul in, but his body and soul could not merge. He was worried and had no other way, so he wanted to try using the Black Snow Lotus. Hua Di said. That's right. The king's condition before was indeed frightening. We all thought. Ba Langqi said, but we didn't expect young Master Yue's medical skills to be so good. The king's condition is much better than before. If he continues, it won't be a problem for him to merge completely. So you're saying that High Priest's trip this time was for nothing? Ba Jiazi saw that Wu Lingyu's condition was improving and was in a good mood. She dared to laugh and tease Hong Yuan. It's a good thing that High Priest isn't here. Otherwise you'd definitely be beaten up by him. Hua Xiu said. It's because he's not here that I said it. Ba Jiazi giggled. I'm not stupid. Oh. Yue on the stone platform let out a soft hum, attracting everyone's attention. You're awake. Little Seven was originally sitting on the stone platform and playing with boredom. When she heard Sima Yue's movements, she turned to look at her. Sima Yue opened her eyes and felt that her head still hurt. She reached out to rub it. Yue, you're finally awake. Ba Jiazi went over. You've slept for 2 days and 2 nights. If you didn't wake up, we'd be worried about you. Yesterday? The day before yesterday when I was performing acupuncture, my mental energy was completely exhausted. I was a little tired, so I slept a little longer. Sima Yue sat up and saw Hua Di and Ba Liangqi. She nodded at them. Yue Gongzi, are you alright now? I see that your complexion is still very poor. Hua Di asked. I'm fine. I'll be fine after resting for a while. Many thanks for clan leader Hua's concern. Sima Yue said. Although it's important to treat King, you have to take care of your body. If King wakes up and sees you like this, he'll probably skin us alive. Hua Xiu said. If he really will, I won't stop him. Sima Yue said, I'll take a look at his condition first. She checked his pulse and felt that his condition was getting better. Her heart finally settled down. She didn't waste so much effort to treat him. How's King's condition? Hua Di asked. His soul and body have already begun to fuse. They're compatible quite well. Sima Yue said. How well? Little Seven asked. How well? Sima Yue thought for a while and said, if we treat the fusion process as drawing a circle, then he's already 2/3 done. Then when will King wake up? He'll wake up after the circle is drawn. Sima Yue said, it's just that the last third will be slower. It'll take a longer time. Then do you still want to give him acupuncture? Yes. But this time it'll take 10 days. Sima Yue said, he can only rely on himself for the next few days. There's nothing we can do. I don't know when High Priest will return. If there's a black snow lotus, King will be able to wake up in an even worse condition. Sima Yue didn't ask what the black snow lotus was. She thought that it was useful to Wu Lingyu. Otherwise Hong Yuan wouldn't have gone to retrieve it. Since King is fine, then we'll go out first. Everyone don't stay here. It's not good to disturb King. Come with me. Ba Liangqi said. Let's go out too. Hua Di said to Hua Jing and Hua Xiu. Little Seven looked at everyone and followed them out. It was better to leave this space to the two of them for now. Yue hadn't spent time with him properly since he woke up. Chapter 896. Sima Yue sat on the crystal bed and looked at the frowning man on the bed. She reached out to stroke his eyebrows. It was clearly the same face as before, but after the soul fusion, his entire aura had changed. Even his facial features felt different when looking at him. Thinking about how Mo Sha had knocked her out and took the initiative to cancel the contract, her heart was both moved and angry. What an impulsive fellow. She sighed. She felt that there were many things she wanted to say, but looking at him like this, many of her words turned into this sigh. She took out a medicinal pill and swallowed it. Then she sat cross-legged and began to circulate her energy to recuperate. The acupuncture treatment 8 days later would consume a lot of her mental energy. She wanted to ensure that it would be successful, so she needed to adjust herself to the best state. In the past few days, no one came to disturb her. They only came to check on Wu Lingyu once. After making sure that he was fine, they left. On this day, Sima Yue opened her eyes and seemed to be in good spirits. She got down from the crystal bed and went to the outside of the secret room. Sure enough, she saw everyone waiting for her. You're awake? Why did you come out? I'm going to give him the last injection. In order to ensure that he won't be disturbed, I'll set up a barrier. I specially came out to tell you. Sima Yue said. Is there anything we need to prepare? Hua Jing asked. It's nothing, Sima Yue said. You just have to promise that no one will break through my barrier by force. We can guarantee that. Don't worry. Hua Jing said. Sima Yue nodded at him and returned to the secret room. She closed the door of the secret room and fixed the barrier. The last acupuncture treatment was especially important. Even if he was fully focused, he might not be able to persist, let alone be distracted. If you succeed this time, you'll be able to fuse successfully. She reached out to touch his face and got up to perform the acupuncture. This time he had to be very careful before inserting each needle. After a while, he had to inject spiritual power to ensure that there wasn't a single strand more or less. After more than 2 hours, she finally inserted all the needles and began to slowly withdraw them. Ugh! Her body swayed a few times and she almost fainted. She took out a medicinal pill and ate it, but the medicinal effect could not keep up with her consumption. When she completely withdrew the silver needles, she was already on the verge of fainting. She took his clothes and wanted to help him put them on, but just as her hand went around his body, her vision turned black and she fell onto the bed. The expected sound of impact did not come out. A pair of slender hands caught her body when she fell. With a pull she fell onto his body. His eyes, which had been closed for more than 10 days, finally opened. Ba Jiazi said, "You said that if the acupuncture is successful today, King will wake up. What if it fails? What will happen to King?" Hong Yuan asked. This. Hua Di and the rest were silent. They really did not think about this problem. You don't know? It's mainly because she succeeded twice. King's situation is indeed much better, so we did not ask about this. Nonsense. Hong Yuan scolded. How old is she? You dare to let her treat King? Didn't I say I was going back to get the black snow lotus? Why didn't you wait for me? Hua Di and the rest were speechless and lowered their heads. You will not fail. Little Seven retorted. Only those who don't understand her will not believe her. Strength has nothing to do with age. She met his angry silver eyes, not at all pleased. Others were afraid of him, but she was not. She wasn't his subordinate. The enchantment of the secret room was suddenly removed, and then the door of the secret room opened. Wu Lingyu walked out with Yu in his arms. Wu Lingyu's demonic aura was unmistakable. King? Greetings to our king. Everyone knelt down in surprise. It was indeed the demonic aura, he was their demon king. Wu Lingyu, are you okay? Little Seven leaned over and poked him. Wu Lingyu did not reprimand her and looked at her indifferently. She chuckled and retracted her hand. You're okay. Did someone get the black snow lotus for nothing? Little Seven looked at Hong Yuan proudly. Crazy wife, the 5th miss of the divine Dr. Crazy Wife, Godly Dr. 5th Miss Crazy Wife, Godly Dr. 5th Miss Update List %20 Crazy Wife, Godly Dr. 5th Miss Update List Crazy Wife, Godly Dr. 5th Miss %20 Crazy Wife, Godly Dr. 5th Miss. Chapter 897. Ba Jiazi winked at Little Seven, hinting for her not to be so obvious. Not only did Little Seven not restrain herself, she raised her chin even higher. How is the king now? Hong Yuan ignored Little Seven and asked Wu Lingyu. Not bad. Wu Lingyu said, it's been hard on you to go back. I'll leave the black snow lotus with you for now. You can use it in the future. Yes. Hong Yuan lowered his eyes and did not say anything. Although the king has woken up, let this subordinate take a look. Yu is too tired, take her back to rest first. I'll let you check after I've settled down. Then he carried Yue back to the courtyard where she used to live. Little Seven and Hong Yuan followed him. The others thought about it and didn't follow. Instead they returned to their own courtyards. Wu Lingyu placed Sima Yue on the bed in her room. He wanted to take the opportunity to kiss her, but he saw Little Seven looking at him with her round eyes. Do you want to steal a kiss from Yu? Little Seven asked innocently. I didn't, Wu Lingyu denied in all seriousness. Really? When you saw her face, her eyes lit up. Little Seven covered her eyes and said, I can't see anything right now. If you want to steal a kiss, hurry up. Wu Lingyu's face was full of black lines. He looked at Little Seven's body that had grown a lot and said, the old you was still better. After saying that, he turned around and left. Little Seven put down her hand and blinked at his back. Was she better in the past? Before her evolution, she didn't like to talk and didn't like to interact with people. After her evolution, her personality changed a little. She felt that she was quite cute, so why did he think that she wasn't good? He must have wanted to steal a kiss from Yu but failed, so he felt bad about himself. That must be it. She had already covered her eyes and allowed him to kiss her. If he didn't kiss her, how could he blame her? When Yu woke up, she would definitely tell her that this guy wanted to steal a kiss from her. Wu Lingyu went to the living room. Hong Yuan was already waiting there. Seeing him enter, Hong Yuan stood up and saluted. Your Majesty, let me examine your body, he requested. Wu Lingyu nodded and walked to the main seat and sat down. Hong Yuan went over to check his body. How is it? Wu Lingyu didn't look worried and his tone was quite relaxed. King's soul and body are not in perfect harmony, but to be able to recover to this extent in such a short period of time, her medical skills are indeed amazing. Hong Yuan said truthfully. With her abilities, it's hard to believe if you're not by her side. Wu Lingyu said, if it's a real battle to the death, you might not be her opponent. The king seems to be very confident in her. Hong Yuan smiled faintly but did not take his words to heart. The way he saw it, Sima Yu's age was still there. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't defy the heavens, right? Wu Lingyu must have said that because beauty was in the eye of the beholder and exaggerated her ability. Wu Lingyu did not refute. He only said, if there's a chance in the future, I'll show you. Then this subordinate will wait and see. Hong Yuan had Hong Ming's aura. Wu Lingyu looked at him and felt closer. And because Hong Yuan received Hong Ming's inheritance, he also inherited his feelings for Wu Lingyu. The two were not very familiar with each other, but it was as if they had been together for thousands of years. Your Majesty, although your soul has temporarily stabilized, it is not completely compatible after all. Your body still rejects it to a certain extent. This problem must be solved. Otherwise there will be huge side effects. Hong Yuan said. You're also a magic doctor. If this problem is not solved, what will happen? Wu Lingyu asked. Your Majesty's body will fall into a deep sleep every once in a while. Before and after that period your strength will be greatly reduced. Hong Yuan said, but your Majesty doesn't have to worry. Every time your body falls into a deep sleep, it is because your body and soul are fused. But after the soul and body are completely compatible, this phenomenon will naturally disappear. Wu Lingyu was not worried about this. In fact, what you need to pay attention to is the period before and after the deep sleep. At that time, you will become very weak, and your strength will be less than 1/10 of your usual. If you encounter a strong opponent during this period, the consequences will be very serious. Hong Yuan said, so, every time your Majesty goes into a weak period, you must have guards by your side. Wu Lingyu did not refute. Hong Yuan continued, my identity has not been exposed yet. I can't follow you for a long time. However, there are still many of your former subordinates who are waiting for your return. If your Majesty returns to the demon realm, they will definitely protect you. Let's not talk about returning to the demon realm for the time being. Wu Lingyu said, now is not the time for me to go back. But everyone is waiting for you. If they know that you have returned, they will definitely follow. Is there any movement at the demon tower? He did not get the news of your return. But for so many years the royal family has not given up looking for your soul. Hong Yuan said, perhaps because my ancestors were your former subordinates, they were also on guard against me and did not let me participate in this matter. I don't know how many clues they have found. But when I went back this time I found that they seemed to be doing something big. Although I fused my soul in the human realm, the demon realm may have noticed some changes because of this. The Chinese and Black Jade clan leaders are not in their clans. Those who are observant will definitely notice. Then, after guessing, it will not be difficult to guess that I have returned. Wu Lingyu said. It's better to let the Chinese and Black Jade clan people go back quickly. Hong Yuan said, now is not the time to fight with the royal family. Mo Sha's soul had just fused, and his strength was not very strong. Now it was less than 1/10 of his previous strength. If he wanted to recover his previous strength, it would take a long time. And not all of his former subordinates were waiting for his return. Some had already sought refuge with the current royal family, and some had already forgotten the oath of their ancestors. They needed to reorganize their previous forces. Without thinking, they knew that their remaining strength was not enough to compete with the royal family. So now they could not let Mo Lu and the others know that Mo Sha had returned. Otherwise, before he could return to the demon realm, he would have died in the human realm. Since everything is fine now, the Chinese and Black Jade clan leaders can go back. You have to go back too. Wu Lingyu said. What about you, King? Me? Wu Lingyu smiled evilly. My current identity is still the Holy Son of the Sage Pavilion. Naturally, I have to stay in the human realm. Even if my identity is discovered, Mo Lu cannot send troops to the human realm. It will give me some buffer time. Hong Yuan also felt that it was better for him to stay in the human realm. He did not raise any objections to his arrangement. But it's better for King to bring some people with you. In case something happened, it would be good to have helpers. Chapter 898. You don't have to worry about that. I have my own plans. The Devil Clan's people shouldn't come to the human realm for now. Mo Sha said. But the king's safety, I have a magical beast by my side. Wu Lingyu said as he clapped his hands. Although Hong Yuan did not see any magical beasts appear, he did feel the aura of magical beasts. That ancient and powerful aura. The demonic beast's aura quickly dissipated, as if it had never appeared. This is the legendary. Hong Yuan asked in surprise. Amin? Emo Sha nodded. You don't have to worry about the matters of the human realm. Just take care of the matters in the devil realm. Yes, my king. After contacting the old subordinates, have their clan leader come and see me. Emo Sha said. Some forces have already gone into seclusion. It's difficult to contact them. It will take some time. Hong Yuan said. There's no hurry. I won't be returning to the demon realm for a while. I just need to deal with it without being discovered by Mo Lu. You have to be careful around Mo Lu. Yes, my king. Go and call Hua Di and Ba Lang Qi over. Wu Lingyu said, I have something for them to do. Yes. Wu Lingyu gave Hua Di, Ba Lang Qi and the others some instructions. Then he promised that he would go to the devil world when he had the time. After that, he chased them all back to the devil world. When Sima Yue woke up, all her friends had left. She opened her eyes and found herself lying on a bed. She was no longer in the secret room. You slept for a long time this time. Wu Lingyu lay down beside her. Sima Yue turned her head abruptly and saw his normal expression. She said happily, You're awake? Yes, I woke up after you gave me acupuncture treatment. Wu Lingyu said, When I woke up, I saw you acting like a hooligan to me. When did I do that to you? That was to treat you. Sima Yue glared at him. Our intentions are different, but the result is the same, Wu Lingyu said. I've never been seen naked in my life, so, you want me to take responsibility again? Sima Yue immediately understood what he meant. I've seen a lot of men. Do I have to take responsibility for all of them? You don't have to be responsible for the others. They can't watch it in the future, Wu Lingyu said domineeringly. You only have to be responsible for me. If you want me to be responsible for you, it depends on my mood. Sima Yue said, I will be responsible for you whenever I feel like it. I'm sure you'll be happy soon. Sima Yue flung his hand away and sat up. She looked at him and said, What is your status now? Senior brother? Demon King? In the human world I was Wu Lingyu. In the devil world I was a member of the devil race. Wu Lingyu said. In other words, you still want to use the identity of senior brother now? It's not that I want to use it, it's that I am. Wu Lingyu said, Our souls only fused into one. We didn't devour each other. So Wu Lingyu is also me and Emo Sha is also me. However, the name Emo Sha is not suitable for others to know, so I'll use Wu Lingyu as my identity. Oh. Sima Yue understood. What's wrong with your body? You only fused your souls, how did your body have the aura of the devil race? The soul affects the body. You wouldn't understand even if I explained such a profound matter to you, Wu Lingyu said. Let me check your body again. Sima Yue said after she calmed down from the joy of seeing him wake up. Wu Lingyu knew that resistance was futile, so he obediently let her check. It's still not completely fused. After the soul was injured, the fusion still brought about some repercussions. After Sima Yue finished checking, she frowned and said, From now on, your body will become very weak every once in a while. I know Hong Yuan already told me. Wu Lingyu said, It's not a permanent thing, you don't have to worry about it. You were too impulsive back then. Sima Yue disagreed with his way of doing things. Have you ever thought about what would happen if your injuries were too serious and you couldn't fuse? I did that because I was confident. Wu Lingyu said, I said before, I won't let you get hurt because of me. You? Sima Yue felt happy and angry at the same time. She looked at him but couldn't say anything. Don't do such a dangerous thing in the future. She glared at him. God knows how worried she was when she fainted, and how terrified she was when she heard that the fusion had failed. She didn't want to experience such a thing a second time. Wu Lingyu didn't have a contract with her now, so he couldn't directly feel her thoughts and emotions, but he could still see her worry and fear. That pair of eyes that had hooked his soul showed it clearly. He sat up, touched her face and pulled her into his arms, saying, Don't be angry, I won't do such a thing in the future. I don't believe you. Sima Yue said sullenly. It's true. Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue snorted. You won't have a soul fusion in the future and you don't have a contract with me. Of course you won't do such a thing. Cough cough, she was discovered. Forget it, you men's words can be trusted. Pigs can climb trees. Sima Yue pushed him away and got off the bed. Wu Lingyu wasn't angry. He lay back down with her strength and smiled as he watched her put on her shoes and go out. His heart was full. It turned out that being able to hold her in his arms was such a blissful thing. After Sima Yue put on her shoes, she turned around and glared at him before going out. When she went out, she saw Little Seven coming in with a long face. "Little Seven, why are you unhappy?" Little Seven walked over and said, "Yu, when are we leaving this place? It's not fun at all." "Bored? Let's go play with Bajiazi and the rest." They all went back to the devil world. "Sai, I've been bored for 2 days." Little Seven said. They went back to the devil world? Yes, they all left. Little Seven said, "Now that you're awake, when are we leaving? Let's ask Senior when we get back. If he's fine." Creak, the door opened and Wu Lingyu came out. He leaned against the door and said, "I've finished my task. When you're done resting we can leave." Little Seven heard and looked at Yue happily. Sima Yue patted her head and said, "I'm done resting. Let's leave this place." "Where are we going?" Little Seven asked. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu shrugged and said, "I said I'll go wherever you go. Then I'll go do my task." Sima Yue said, "Are you going to recruit people?" "Haha, we're finally going." Little Seven said excitedly. "No, now's not the time to recruit people. We have to decide on the location first." Sima Yue said. Chapter 899. A few days later, the three of them returned to Heaven City. They didn't go home but went straight to Memory Restaurant. The shopkeeper was calculating the accounts when he felt Sima Yue's aura. He raised his head and saw that it was indeed her. "Young master." Sima Yue nodded at him and asked, "Which courtyard do Feng and the others live in?" "Heavenly Fragrance Restaurant." The shopkeeper said. "Then I'll go look for them directly." Sima Yue said, "Oh right, are Shi Qianji and the rest still around?" "He left 2 days ago," the shopkeeper replied. "I didn't come back to send them off." Sima Yue mumbled. "All right, you can go back to work. I'll go look for them." In front of Memory Restaurant was a restaurant and behind it was an inn. Most of them were independent courtyards. Shi Qianji and the others stayed in the Lunar Flower Tower, and now the Heavenly Fragrance Tower. She and Wu Lingyu went to the Heavenly Fragrance Building. When they passed by the Moonflower Building, she stopped to take a look. "Yu, what are you thinking about?" Little Seven didn't understand. "It's nothing. I just thought of Qiushuang. I don't know if she will do something stupid on impulse when she goes back." Sima Yue said, "I hope not, but everyone has their own life and my thoughts can't influence her thoughts. After all, what she experienced was different from what I experienced. If you miss her, you can go to the inner regions to look for her." Little Seven said, "She won't know that you're worried about her here." Sima Yue smiled and said nothing. Was she worried about her? Perhaps, but it was more likely because she wasn't worth it. An INE just came out of the courtyard and saw the three people not far away. He shouted excitedly, "Boss, you're finally back." Sima Yue looked over and smiled. "And you guys are here too? We've been here for a few days. We're all waiting for you." "Then let's go in." Everyone was excited to see Sima Yue. After some small talk, everyone began to discuss business. "Boss, you asked us to choose a location. We found a few in the central region. Take a look." Feng Zhi took out a map and showed it to Sima Yue. "Did you see all of these in person?" Sima Yue looked at the few places marked on the map. There were several large regions in the central region. It was very extensive. "Yes." Feng Zhi said, "We've already gone to these places to investigate. They are all sparsely populated, remote and secretive places." "Tell me the details of each place." Sima Yue said. "All right. Let's talk about Mo Bay first." Feng Zhi listed a few places, but Sima Yue was not satisfied with any of them. The northern desert, the western Liang, the southern wasteland and the eastern ridge. With such a large area, are you afraid that you won't be able to find something you're satisfied with? Wu Lingyu said, "If you don't think it's good after hearing what they say, why don't you go and investigate?" "Feng, have you been to these places?" Shimin Feng shook his head. "Then let's go and take a look." "Senior brother, sorry to trouble you." Sima Yue said. Wu Lingyu looked at the few places and formed a seal with both hands. He opened a passage and let everyone in. They first came to the desert in Mo Bay. Other than the sky full of yellow sand, there was no sign of life. "This environment is worse than the Karma Desert." Little Seven wrinkled her nose. She did not like this place. What's outside the desert? A few third-rate forces. Fengji said. This place is not a natural barrier. If the sect is built here, it's easier to be discovered. Wu Lingyu analyzed. I think so too. Let's go to the next place. The group went to Shiliang, a swamp, deep in the mountains. They were all rejected by Sima Yue. These places were not secretive enough. They were easy to be discovered. Are the other places the same? The places are different, but they're about the same, Fengji said. Actually, the places in each sect are about the same. If you want to hide, you have to set up your own array to block it. Wu Lingyu said, when the time comes, you just have to set up some arrays outside. Sima Yue shook her head and said, the force I want to build is different from the others. From the beginning, it's destined to be filled with blood and killing. Those who want to join in the future are all fugitives. We have to make sure that the sect is even more secretive. This way we won't be troubled by those people all day long. But it's hard to find a place like this. And INE said, a natural barrier. We have to conquer the natural barrier before we can do it. But most of these places have already been taken over by other sections. There were countless forces in the central region. There were both big and small forces everywhere. Some of the better places had already been taken over by others. There will be. Sima Yue said, the continent is so big. It can't be taken over by others. Then do we still have to look at other places? Shimin Feng asked. No. Sima Yue said, if those places are the same as here, it's useless to go there. This subordinate didn't do a good job. Feng Ji said guiltily. Boss asked them to look for a place. After spending so much time, they still couldn't find one that satisfied her. She wouldn't doubt their abilities, right? You don't have to blame yourself. Sima Yue said, the places you chose are all good places. If you want to build a normal force, any place will do. It's just that our situation in the future will be more special. So these places aren't suitable. If we can't find a better place, we'll use the one you chose. Speaking of which, I thought of a place. Shimin Feng said. Where? Shimin Feng hesitated and said, that place is very dangerous for others. But for you it might not be. There's such a place? And INE said in surprise. Where is this? Dai was curious too. Heartbreak Valley. And INE and the others took a deep breath and said in surprise, Heartbreak Valley? Poisonous insects are everywhere there. Some places even have poisonous barriers. Normal people will die if they go in. Who would build a sect there? That's right. I heard that normal people will die if they go near it. Even if they have some ability, they only dare to walk in the outermost area. Building a sect in there is simply too inconceivable. If we build a sect there, then the people we recruit will probably die before they even enter. Feng Ji and Feng Kai also frowned. They didn't understand why Shimin Feng brought up this place. Sima Yue's eyes lit up. She clapped her hands and said, this place is not bad. If we think of a way to build a sect in the valley, then normal people won't be able to find trouble. Come, let's go there and take a look. Wu Lingyu agreed to all her requests. When she heard that she wanted to go, she immediately opened a space tunnel for her. Feng Kai and the others looked at each other. They all thought that she wasn't serious, right? Chapter 900. Mobile reading. The central region was vast and was mainly divided into the northern desert, the western Liang, the eastern ridge, and the southern wasteland. Other than these four regions, there was also an uninhabited area in the center. 77%, 77%, 77%, 76%, 64%, 74%, 77%. The no man's land wasn't too vast, and it wasn't that there weren't any creatures living here. It was just that this was the territory of spirit beasts, so there weren't many humans living here. Heartbreak Valley was between the southern wasteland and the no man's land. Standing on the cliff at the edge of Heartbreak Valley again, Sima Yue seemed to see the scene when she and Shimin Feng were forced to separate again. Shinan Feng also stood beside her with a face full of emotion. Back then he had fallen from here and thought that he was going to hell. Who would have thought that he would be able to escape death? Boss, is this really okay? And INE glanced at the bottom of the valley. Because of the miasma, he couldn't see clearly. Could anyone survive in such a place? Why did it feel a little ridiculous to establish a force in such a place? Sima Yue wasn't sure either. We'll see if it works. What are you looking at? Of course it's to see if there's a way to solve this problem. Little Seven said, If we can solve the problem of the poisonous miasma and poisonous bugs, it would be good to establish a power here. Right, Yu? That's right. Sima Yue patted her head and said to everyone, I'll go down and take a look. You guys wait here. I will go down with you. Little Seven said. No, you have to wait up there. There's too much poisonous gas down there and I don't know what's going on. What if it's dangerous? Sima Yue refused. What danger could there be? Little Seven pursed her lips. Don't forget, I'm immune to poison. His true form was the Eye of the Earth, a sacred item for cultivation. Ordinary poisonous insects and miasma were useless against him. Sima Yue only remembered this when she heard her words. She nodded and said, Then come down with me. I'll go too, Wu Lingyu said. You? Those poisonous creatures can't get close to me. All right then, let's go down together. Sima Yue said, You guys wait up there. Although everyone wanted to follow her, with their strength, they would probably die before they could even take 2 steps down. They could only wait for her to come up. Yue and the other 2 flew down. After falling for a few dozen meters, they encountered a poisonous barrier. The poisonous gas was useless against Little Seven, so it flew in without any protection. The moment Yu and Wu Lingyu fell into the poisonous miasma, their bodies burst into flames, isolating them from the poisonous miasma. Once the poisonous gas got close, it would all be incinerated. Sima Yue's flame was Mo Sha's. Wu Lingyu's flame was black, so it should be Mo Sha's soul flame. The miasma was about 30 to 40 meters thick. The 3 of them passed through the miasma and flew for another few hundred meters before landing safely. The poison above is so strong, but I didn't expect there to be nothing below. Seven looked at the clean valley and said. Sima Yue retracted the flame on her body and said, The poisonous gas below should have been absorbed by the poisonous creatures. This is the outer area of Heartbreak Valley. There aren't many strong poisonous creatures. Wu Lingyu said, If we want to establish power here, we just need to solve 2 problems. But these 2 problems aren't easy to solve. Sima Yue said. Indeed, but I believe you can do it. 2 problems? What problems? Seven asked. One is the miasma, the other is the poisonous creatures. As long as we solve these 2 problems, this place will be ours. Sima Yue said with a smile. Seven looked at her carefree expression and couldn't help but twitch her mouth. You're really generalizing. It sounds like 2 problems, but it's actually a lot of problems, okay? Every place has a different miasma. If you want to solve this problem, there are a lot of things to do. As for those poisonous creatures, there are thousands of different kinds and powerful ones. Don't just generalize with one poisonous creature. This is the outer area. The sect definitely can't be built here. Let's go inside and take a look. Sima Yue said. She took out 3 jade bottles and handed them to the 2 of them, saying, This is to prevent poisonous insects. Sprinkle some on your body and you can avoid some trouble. Seven wanted to say that she wasn't afraid of poisonous insects, but if the poisonous insects came, they would have to spend time to deal with them. It would be a waste of time. So she took it and sprinkled some on her body. Let's go. Wu Lingyu naturally pulled Sima Yue's hand and walked towards the valley. Sima Yue struggled but couldn't break free. She let him lead her away. Seven pursed her lips and grabbed Sima Yue's other hand. She even raised her chin at Wu Lingyu proudly. Sima Yue looked at them and suddenly felt like they were a family of 3. The 3 of them walked towards the depths of the valley. It was called a valley, but it was actually a mountain range that stretched for millions of kilometers. There were many steep cliffs and precipices, surrounded by poisonous miasma. They were now in the outer area of the valley. The terrain wasn't that dangerous, the poisonous gas wasn't that strong, and the poisonous creatures weren't that strong. The deeper they went, the higher the level. There's a pool there. Seven pointed at the pool in front of them. Sima Yue walked over and looked at the pool, saying, This pool should be where Feng fell in. I heard him say that there's a rather powerful poisonous creature inside. Luckily, it wasn't there at that time, so it was able to escape. Bloop, bloop. Just as she finished speaking, there was a slight movement from the pool. First, there were ripples, then many bubbles appeared on the surface of the water. Suddenly, water splashed everywhere and a huge toad emerged from the water. Sima Yue and the rest condensed spiritual energy to protect themselves when the water splashed over. When the water droplets landed on the grass beside them, it actually corroded the grass. What a strong poisonous water! Seven exclaimed. This poison. Sima Yue's eyes flashed with pain. When Feng fell in, I don't know how much pain he had to suffer. It shouldn't be this poisonous back then. Wu Lingyu said, otherwise with this poison he wouldn't have survived. Yes. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. If it was really like this, Shimin Feng wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't have been able to climb out of there and wait for the people from the Kong Valley to save him. This means that the poison here has increased a lot in these few years. It should be. But why? Maybe it has become stronger, or maybe something has changed. That toad saw that the three of them didn't panic after seeing it, but instead were leisurely discussing its territory. It was furious, and with a kick of its hind legs, it attacked them. Seven was thinking about the reason for this change when she saw the ugly toad flying towards her. She slapped it and shouted, "Go away!" Before the toad could figure out what was going on, it was sent flying into the pool. AJ's Crazy Wife, 5th Miss Divine Doctor, Chapter 900 Crazy Wife, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.